Welcome, everybody, to the Jim Masters Show Live. Good afternoon, I should say. Usually we're here in the evening, but we are doing an afternoon show today, and it's nice to see everybody. I know a lot of you are enjoying this afternoon time, especially those of you who are in those later time zones where it's already evening time for you. It's a little after 4 p.m. Eastern here live, 1 p.m. Pacific. And we welcome everybody all around the world. You're watching the Jim Masters Show Live, our afternoon edition. Yeah, it's kind of cool, huh? Got a cup of coffee, nice hot cup of coffee. And I got to tell you something. You know how many times this water has been reheated? The water in here has been reheated 1,000 times. Not the coffee, but the water itself has been reheated multiple times. It's that kind of busy day. I was on the air all day today with the professional hat on, literally, doing the radio shows with Close-Up Radio and Close-Up Television, interviewing all kinds of folks, and then preparing this week's worth of episodes. We are excited to announce that on December 12th, 2020, of course, this year, next month, the 12th, Keith Harkin, singer-songwriter Keith Harkin. It's just been confirmed. We've been working behind the scenes the last several weeks on this. Keith Harkin, formerly of Celtic Thunder, who's traveling through Europe right now. He's in Portugal with his wife and child. He will be here live on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, Ireland, Scotland, England. And that's on December 12th. Excited to announce that live right now exclusively. And that'll be on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Welcoming everybody who's joining us on YouTube this afternoon at Jim Masters TV, and also on our Facebook page at Jim Masters TV as well. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know for some of you, it's a little after 4 p.m., so the day isn't necessarily wrapped. It isn't 5 yet. And some of you are having lunch. Some of you have already had your dinner. Wherever you are around the world, we welcome you. This is an entertainment lifestyle talk show series. We normally do it at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific live every single day. Sometimes we alter the time based on scheduling and also based on where the guest is as well. Our guest is actually earlier. Our guest is in Washington State on the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest, beautiful area of the United States. We broadcast literally straight across from where he is, but on the East Coast. If you look at where he is, maybe we're just a tad south of where he is, straight across in the northeastern United States, between New York and Boston along the southern New England coast and the greater New York area. That's where this show comes from in the United States. So we have an international audience. Thanks for all the great comments. Busy day on the air, as I mentioned, with my professional work. Busy, busy week. But love joining you here every day. We had a wonderful show last night with wonderful lyricist, Tony-nominated lyricist Bill Russell. Great conversation. Phil Coulter, the Irish music legend. Before that on Sunday, Matt Steady, the wonderful singer and musician from England on Saturday, and so much more. You can go to YouTube and check out all of the episodes of our extensive entertainment lifestyle talk show series. What we're doing is we're bringing back the lost art of conversation. Think about the talk shows of yesterday: Mike Douglas, Merv Griffin, Johnny Carson, David Susskind, Dick Cavett. That style with the modern sensibilities of today: inspiration, entertainment, thought-provoking conversation, positivity, light, love, levity, and lovity, as we call it as well. All of our lovities watching right now, they call me Mr. Lovity, which is kind of cool. I think I like that. I'll take that. And I thank you very much for calling me Mr. Lovity. Let's check in with some of our lovities from around the world. Again, we are here live right now. This show will be archived on our YouTube channel as well. And nice to see lots of familiar faces and new faces joining us as well. Mary Bishop is here. Hi, Jim, and all current and soon-to-be lovities. Always great to be here. Thanks for joining us for our afternoon edition of the Jim Masters Show Live. Good to have you with us, Mary Bishop. You and I were chatting earlier today as well. Marilyn Hammond is here watching on our YouTube channel. Hi, Jim and all our lovities. She's in Wichita, Kansas. Nice to see you as well. Mary is in Florida. It's so nice to have all of you here. And of course, we welcome all of you on the different platforms. Jana is here as well. Welcome. Nice to have you with us. Join us on our YouTube channel. I hope you'll subscribe to it as well. And welcome. You are now a lovity. It's nice to have you here. And we welcome you to our show. Living Room Dancing, Flower Power. Jenna Zen is here. And she dances whenever she hears the theme song to the Gym Masters show live with our Gym Masters show singers and orchestra, the open and the close to our show. She loves it. So she dances in the kitchen, she dances in the living room, and she wiggles in the bed, she says. Good to see you, Flower Power. Ann is here from Southern California. Nice to see you, Ann. Hope you're having a terrific day. We love when you're here in SoCal, and great to be here at this special time. It's my pleasure to have you here. Ann, Juanita from South Africa joining us as well at our earlier time. Love having you here as well. And again, I love that profile photo you have there as well, Juanita. And Gloria is here. Salute. Nice to have you with us, Gloria. Natalia, nice to have you here. Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you. Bernadette Vidal is here. Hello, Jim and all lovelies. Nice to see you, Bernadette. I know you're excited that Keith Harkin is coming on December 12th on Saturday afternoon. Very exciting. Just got that confirmed. We've been working hard. We work really hard behind the scenes here to put these shows together, but it came together today. We announced it on the Facebook page, and we're excited. Kathleen Walker, hi, Jim. Hi, everyone. Hope all is well. You too. Good to see you in New York City. And Marilyn, hi, Jim and all our lovelies on Facebook as well. Mary Bishop toasting. Yes, we are toasting with our nice big cup of coffee. I haven't even had a chance to eat today. Don't tell my folks. Going to have a big dinner after this show. It's been so busy. This is the only thing I've had all day is this huge cup of coffee. I should have some more. One thing we don't have is a Keurig machine. We need to get one of those because I heat the water up manually, and we've heated it up 3 times. This cup, the water has been heated up 3 times, and I kept forgetting about it. The phone's been ringing. I've been on the air. It's been a busy day. We're finally getting to the coffee that was supposed to be our morning coffee. We're having it now at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Watching as I make dinner. Meatloaf tonight. I'm heading down to your house. Meatloaf with some mashed potatoes and gravy. Ooh, that's good comfort food. Love it, Kathleen. Yum, I know. Yes, I shared the news with excited friends about Keith. Thank you, Bernadette. You're great with doing that. Jim, you and I matched today. I'm wearing my navy blue, number 9, Chase Elliott sweatshirt and black sweatpants, same colors. Yeah, this sweater is sort of like there's a nice design to it. See, maybe you can see. There you go. It's a nice warm sweater fall. I'm a big sweater guy. I love sweaters. So we're whipping out all the sweaters and turtlenecks and all kinds of cardigans. Nice to see you, Flower Power. This one is sort of like a dark gray. I know it looks black on the screen. It's sort of like a black, dark gray. Really comfortable, really soft. It's like a wool, but it's a really soft. It's got a soft texture. Kathy Short is here. Hello, Jim and Liberty family from Cleveland, Ohio. Nice to see you. And Wozniak. Hi, Jim and everyone. Good to see you here. June in New York City. Hey there. Good to see you, June, as well. Welcome. Christine Fairwood is here. Good to see you, Christine. Always wonderful to have you here. Hi, Jim and everyone. A great show time tonight. School run tomorrow, so I have to get up early, so we'll get some sleep in between. That's awesome. Yes. Gail, nice to see you from Whidbey Island and Outcast Productions, which is where our wonderful guest is from. Welcome, Gail. Nice to see you here. No, I didn't do the Irish in that coffee. Maybe I will do it after the show. And I need the Keurig. I got to get that. I'm going to ask Santa Claus to bring that for Christmas, hopefully. I need a Keurig machine. They are great. Greetings, Jim and lovely friends. We welcome actor, director, and singer Ned Farley to the show today. Looking forward to learning more about Ned's career. Christine Clifton in North Carolina. Good to see you as well. Hi, everybody from Gail. Everybody saying hello. Sherry is here. Hi, Jim and lovelies. Just got home. Happy to be here today. Well, welcome. We kept the porch light on for you, Sherry, and it's great to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Nice to see everybody. We'll continue taking a look at the comments as well. But I want to welcome my very special guest. Great guy, too. And he's also a PhD. And we're going to talk about his PhD, clinical education, and so much more. I love that aspect. I love psychology, and I studied some of that in college, and I just love psychology and the human condition. And having conversations like that. But he's also a brilliant artistic director, and he's from the theater world as well. He's balanced both lives, and it's my pleasure to welcome Ned Farley to our show. Ned, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And you are in Langley, Washington, beautiful Washington State in the Pacific Northwest, my friend. Where is Langley in reference to places that people would know of, like Seattle and things of that nature?
Langley is on Whidbey Island, which is about 30 miles north of Seattle. So it's pretty easy to get in and out of the city when we travel more.
Tell us about Whidbey Island. It's a beautiful area, and folks may have heard of it, might not be as familiar with it. How do you define that beautiful island? It's beautiful.
It's one of the largest islands in the contiguous U.S. It's about 65 miles long.
Wow.
On the north end is a naval air station, so that's kind of where the biggest population is. It's not a big, it's part of a county that has 2 islands next to each other, basically. And the south end of the island is predominantly rural, with Langley, where I live, is actually an arts community. It's very much a tourist town. I would say it's kind of like Cape Cod.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right. It's right on the water, but it's a village. I think we have a population of about 1,000 people that are technically in the city itself, and then we have folks in the zip code outside of it. But it's been an arts community since about the 1960s.
Wow.
So we attract a lot of folks from Hollywood that have come up here to retire or to live part-time. We have a ton of visual artists. I think my understanding is that we have the largest cohort of glass artists in the country that live on the island.
Isn't that a great art? I love glass blowing, and I love all of that, to watch them do that. I remember when I was a kid on class trips, we would go to see them do that, and I've been fascinated ever since. And to know that all of that originates from sand, that's amazing, isn't it?
It's amazing to watch them work. And of course, right across the water is where Dale Chihuly's first studio was. So it's a pretty amazing space to be in, and a small town like we have actually supports an orchestra, a dance theater, and 4 theater companies. So we get a lot of traffic, particularly in the summer, but also year round. Not so much right now during the pandemic, but
yeah. But
here we are.
And like I said, you're basically straight across, maybe just a tad north, but straight across from where we are here in the Northeast, Northeastern United States, and another, the New York, New England area, very scenic as well. And I just want to show you, my friend, remember I said, which I mentioned to all the guests, that our viewers call themselves Lovities. They call me Mr. Lovity. They've sort of christened this as Lovity Hall, and you are going to be welcomed within seconds as a Lovity, which is, I think, fantastic. Nate is here. Nate, welcome. He's right there on Whidbey Island.
I know Nate.
Yeah. Edmiston, nice to have you with us watching, Nate. We're here every day with this Entertainment Lifestyle Talk Show series. Hope you'll check us out. Hope you'll subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, Nate. We would love that, and spread the word. So Nate says hi. June says hi. Bernadette, welcome, Nate, to Ned. Now we've got Nate and Ned. Now we need Nathaniel. Who else do we need? Nick, yes. Norman. Welcome, Ned, to Lovity Hall from Bernadette. We also have Kathleen. Hi, Ned. Welcome. We're a very viewer-centric, viewer-interactive show, so I like to bring, and I do that in my professional work, I like to bring the viewers and listeners and followers into the picture so they feel like they're participating, not just, idly watching and enjoying. There are people who don't comment, but the ones that do, I like to show if they want us to. Welcome to Lovity Hall, Ned. We're very excited that you're here with us this afternoon from Sherry. Gail Liston, welcome, Gail. Hope you give some love to that YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Go, Ned. Woohoo.
Gail's another one of my favorites.
She's happy. She's happy for you. So exciting. June, our dear mutual friend as
Yes.
well. Nate says hi to you there on Whidbey Island. I've got to get out there. I've got to come see that island because I've heard from so many people how beautiful it is. And I like to tour a lot of different areas. And it would be, I do a lifestyle travel TV series too that airs on CBS and CW affiliates. So hopefully we'll get out there and come see you guys when we get past all of this. It'd be nice.
That would be great.
Juanita's in another beautiful area. She's in South Africa and she says, welcome to the show, Ned. And Renee says, hi, everyone. She's welcoming everybody. Nice to see you, Renee. She's in Iowa. Flower Power. Hi, Ned. Nice to meet you. Jen is now Zen Slancha. She's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Mary Bishop in Florida. Welcome, Ned. Christine Clifton in North Carolina. Welcome, Ned, to the Jim Master Show Live. You are now a Lovity. This is it. You've been christened. You've been christened a Lovity. There are Grammys, there are Oscars, there are Emmys, there are Tellys. Yes, we shall toast.
Coffee time.
What does it say on there? Dog lover, right?
Yes.
And we should let the audience know, or Lovity viewers, that there are dogs around, your lovely pets, family members, and may make a little noise here or there. That's perfectly fine. How many dogs are there?
Two.
What are their names?
So I've got a relatively new puppy, 11-month-old, named Buster, and an older 12-year-old dog named Grace.
Well, if they happen to barrel through the door somehow and jump in your lap, perfectly fine. This is the audience for it. They love that. Christine says, glad you can join us today. She's in North Carolina. Cassandra Bain, who was a wonderful guest, and she's a dear friend on our show. Cassandra Bain is Lady Bain. She's a terrific R&B sensation. She welcomes you as well. She's not only a viewer, a Lovity, watches our show all the time, but she was a guest on the show. And I love that when the guests become avid fans. Some guests watch the show in advance of coming on too, so they can get a feel for it. I think I know that you checked it out too, which I appreciate, Ned. Hello, beautiful people. Jane says, hi, June. Hi, Gail. Hi, Ned, Jim, and everyone. Absolutely. And of course, George Burns is here and he welcomes all of you as well. He's one of our cast of characters, which we love. And everybody's saying hello to everybody, putting smiles on everybody's faces. And Sue says, Deception Pass.
Yes.
Is that in Whidbey Island? Is that
That's
there?
The very north end of the island. There's a little bridge that goes to the next island over, and it's called Deception Pass. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Very, very nice. Maryland in another area that's beautiful and historic, Wichita, Kansas. Welcome, Ned, to Lovity Hall from Maryland. Sherry says, of course, Ned is a Lovity now. We're happy to have you in our Lovity family. Christine Fairwood in Connecticut. Hello, Ned. Christine is wonderful. She's followed me for years on public television, and she's a wonderful viewer of our show. Kathy Short says, hello, Ned. Nice to have you in Lovity Hall. Ann Harriskin in Southern California. Welcome, Ned. And Jana is, I hope I'm saying that right, Jana or Jana or Yana?
Jana.
Jana. I am a Lovity. So awesome, Jana. Well, we welcome you. It's always nice to add to the Lovity family here. Bernadette says, yes, dog lover. We love all pets here. The two dogs are such a sweet pair. Dog lover. Ann Wozniak, welcome, Ned. Happy to be spending the afternoon with you. Bernadette is also welcoming Buster and Grace. So if they decide to come on, feel free to open the door and let them in. They will be warmly welcomed. Sometimes what happens is the pet or the child who ends up sort of crawling in. We had Donna Vivino on, and the Broadway sensation, and her son sort of broke through the door, 8 years old, and he was pulling at her headphones and wanted her to go in the other room, and he became a star. I mean, everybody was, she became second. Right. the pets and the children. The Lovities are animal lovers. Absolutely, Renee. I'm here with my 13-year-old and 7-year-old grand dogs. Oh, yes. You are a Lovity. You're watching the show. subscribe to the YouTube channel. You are a lovely, Jana. Well, what an intro, huh? That's like
There you go.
that's like a red carpet intro, my friend. Let's talk a little bit about some of the extraordinary work that you have done. I mean, obviously, most recently, you directed The Importance of Being Earnest for the Whidbey Island Center for the Arts, previously directed work including the musicals Fiddler on the Roof, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and Little Mary Sunshine for the University of Washington, Godspell for the Redmond Little Theater. In addition, you have directed 10 Little Indians for the Redmond Little Theater, Two Rooms at AHA Theater. Your work as an actor includes such favorite roles as Peter in The Zeus Story and Peter in The Diary of Anne Frank, both at the University of Washington, Don in Butterflies Are Free at the Bellevue Playhouse, The Courier in 1776, Rolfe in The Sound of Music at Woodminster Amphitheater, John and Judas in Godspell at the American Conservatory Theater, student production, Cliff and Cabaret at the Little Theater in Hayward, California. And you've also sung and danced in West Coast touring companies of Hair, No No Nanette, Jesus Christ Superstar, appeared as a feature player in the films Eric, Jesus Christ Superstar, and The Candidate as well. So very, very busy. And in addition to all of that, artistic director with Outcast Productions and a PhD as well. Now, I thought I literally wore a lot of hats with everything I do. How have you balanced all of these wonderful passions of yours so neatly, my friend?
Well, I don't know whether I would say I did a very good job of balancing them. But what I would say is that I've actually sort of done them in sequence. Theater has been my love since I was very small. I think I did my very first production when I was in second grade. I wrote my first play in second grade and directed it in second grade, if that tells you something.
You did? But, what was it? Do you remember?
It was a Thanksgiving play.
Oh, very nice. Really?
So, I mean, I was bit very early, and I'm like many actors. I really fall on the side of the introvert, except when on stage, when you get to play somebody else.
So then you become like an extroverted introvert, right?
Yeah. Right. I think over the years I've balanced it. I'm sort of middle of the line now. I can do the extrovert thing, and then I need to go run away. But basically, theater was going to be my life, and it was. I worked steadily. Obviously, I was at a performing arts high school in California. I was in the Bay Area, which is how I got into the summer congress at the American Conservatory Theater, back at the beginning of when they were doing that under Bill Ball's work. I think it was the first or second year that they held that training. But did a little bit of work at the very beginning of the Berkeley Rep. And I just had the fortune of connecting with a few people who gave me opportunities.
Right.
When I was in high school, I had neighbors up the street who I babysat their kids for, and it turned out the wife was college roommates with Clint Eastwood's first wife, Maggie. And so I wound up babysitting for their two kids, Allison and Kyle, at the time, who were small.
Yeah.
One time, but it was enough to get me into doing some extras work in a couple of the movies that he directed. But it was timing. And I decided to pursue that as a career, and that's what I went to college for. Got into a professional actors training program at the University of Washington. And I worked, like everybody, it's hard. I was waiting tables and bartending and trying to make a living. But then I would pick up a contract here and there, or I would do community theater work. Obviously, most of it was out of the Bay Area or out of Seattle. Seattle has a very thriving theater community. I think there was a period of time in the 70s and 80s when I was told that Seattle had like the second most theater per capita of any city outside of New York. There was just dozens of both semi-pro, professional equity theaters and fringe theaters. So lots of opportunities to do work. So I worked on and off in those kind of things for a number of years until I realized I needed to make money. And I happened to meet somebody who was completely not in the theater world, and was a tech person, and did not understand what it was like for me to be gone a lot, particularly when I did on the road. And I was sort of given an ultimatum about either the relationship or staying with theater. And at the particular time, I was a bit disillusioned. It was kind of hard getting some jobs. So I decided to step out of the theater for the relationship. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because it really was my love. But I made that decision, for better or for worse, and literally put it all aside for almost 25 years. So I didn't, I did a little bit and then decided it was too hard on the relationship, and I just stepped back.
Right.
And I didn't even go to the theater for a few years, because I'd walk into the theater and cry.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk about sequence. So I was, relatively successful. I loved it. Decided to shift gears, went back to school, decided after doing my own therapy that it probably wouldn't hurt, that I liked the engagement with people. And so I went and got my master's degree, started practicing as a mental health counselor, decided I liked teaching, which for me is about the closest I can get to the stage at the time. So teaching is an audience, right? So I enjoy getting up in front of a classroom. And so I applied for a university position, got my doctorate degree in counseling psychology, and have been a professor for the past 28 years.
And that's, we could do a whole show just on that. I love that topic. I love that conversation as well. I would imagine you've been very busy right now. There are a lot of people from not just the artistic world, but from all points of society who are reaching out, who during this particular year and the times that we are experiencing are down, and there's a lot of depression and anxiety, and they're doing a lot of soul searching too. There's a lot of people who during this pause are saying, okay, I've been doing this all my life. I've been making these other people rich, or I've been, serving the dream of somebody else. But now this is what I want to do. Now this is, I want to take up a hobby, or I just want to do things that please me. There's a lot of people doing that right now with this pause that we've had. How have you been sort of consulting with people and helping people? There's a lot of artists out there as well who obviously they feed off the energy of what they do, and of the audience and the fanfare and the response. How have you been helping people along, and how have you been getting along and staying creative and connected as well, Ned, during all this?
No, you're right. I think the pandemic has offered us an opportunity to try to find other ways of connecting and being satisfied with how our life is. I tend to be an optimist, so I like to look for the light in whatever kind of the darkness is. It's not always easy. I think we're all still adjusting to what we've called the new normal. And I think we forget that between the pandemic and a very crazy election season, there's a certain level of trauma that people are experiencing. And I think we've been with the pandemic now for, 8 months, 9 months? And I think most of us have sort of settled into a new normal, to the point that we're not even necessarily aware that our nervous systems are still really traumatized.
Yeah.
And so when people are talking, they're worried because they're worried they're going to get sick. They're worried that they're not sleeping well. So I'm really trying to work very hard with the clients that I'm working with around how to reset the nervous system. I'm very much into the neuroscientific end of things, which is really where the arts come in. What we know from research is that play is really, really important in terms of our health, and that anything we can do that's creative literally helps reset the brain and helps reset the nervous system. So I really advocate for people not only to find some mindfulness techniques that they can use, whether it's meditation or breathing, listening to music, but also finding something creative to do. So that's kind of the work that I really push to the clients I work with, to the students I'm still teaching, who are right now all doctoral students who are learning how to train people to be counselors. And it's kind of a passion that I have, is to look at the link between the arts and between mental health.
It's very right, exactly. The thought patterns, the belief systems, all of these things that we get locked in, which sometimes can be negative, or the belief systems that maybe we were raised with, or that society tells us we're supposed to be following, or whatever it is, sometimes can be detrimental and not serve us anymore, or just not be a reflection of who the person authentically really is. And filling that cup with positivity, inspiration, looking for the light. I've been saying all along, Ned, and we've been doing actually conversations here on this series and in my professional work, and talking with family and friends and all, and colleagues. This is a good time to look at the simple things in life, and to surround yourself or seek out the constants in life. So we here, on the East Coast and the Northeast, we live, we're within blocks of the ocean. So going to the ocean and
Right.
seeing the sunset and the tide and the salt air, going into, a forest, gardening, very, very big this year. A lot of people getting in touch with nature and nurturing something. They can control that by, fertilizing it and having it grow. With all the loss everybody's seeing, gardening and having growth and positivity has been very big this year. So I've been telling people, surround yourself with the constants: music, old TV shows, film, the arts, very, very important all the time. That's why they need to be funded. But also, especially at these times, escapism, fantasy, all very, very important, because it helps us balance, mind, body, and spirit, right? So we need to have these things that we can call upon when things get rough. We have our little place we go to, that is that, like Jen says, Jen is Zen, our Zen places, because it really does balance out the body. We're not always in that fight or flight scenario, which can be detrimental to our health too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really important that people find whatever it is that works for them, and to recognize that we all need something in that, whatever you want to call it, creativity, play. And I think as adults, we're often, as we grow up, we're often trained out of play.
Yeah.
And we somehow think that being an adult means you shouldn't do that anymore. And that is so not true. So whatever it is that you can do. For me personally, I feel very fortunate that I began to come back into theater over the last 15 years, more just for myself. It was for my soul that I started when I moved up to the island from Seattle. It was an opportunity for me to engage back in with just a little thing. I thought if I just directed a show here and there or acted here and there, that would be enough. And it just turned out that it started to grow. And then, founding Outcast with my colleague Sandy O'Brien, who has retired and moved back to Las Vegas. She's originally from New York, upstate New York. I'm originally from New Jersey, actually. So
are you?
There you go, right? But
I'm from the other side. Long Island.
Long Island, okay.
Long Island, New York.
Yeah. But
the only thing in between is Manhattan. Between New Jersey and Long Island is Manhattan.
But so for me, it was just, it's like my life has come full circle, because now theater is becoming 100% of what it is I want to do again, which I never thought I'd come back to. So and what I will say is, all the training I've done in psychology has actually made me a more perceptive and a better director and actor, because I feel like my approach to character work, and whether I'm directing somebody or whether I'm acting myself, is more informed by what I know about kind of human nature. So
you understand the human condition, exactly, and relationships and all of those things. And that's really, really important. I often say that a lot of what we do in life and even in these careers is very psychologically based in so many different ways, because we're touching upon people's emotions. There's a therapeutic element to it all, and it is as much for the consumer of it as it is for us, the ones who are doing it and creating it as well, right?
Absolutely. You know, for the first probably 10 years that I was practicing as a clinician, the majority of my client population were artists, obviously because I had those connections already. And I always found that some of the best work happened when we brought their art form into the work, whether they were actors or dancers or singers or visual artists. That what I began to discover is how much of what they do with their art form actually is a reflection of their own psyche and their own soul.
Yeah.
So it became a real important component.
Absolutely is. Absolutely. You know, we've also, we'll get into your artistic background in just a second, but we've been dealing with a lot of loss too. And one of our viewers just shared with us actually during the show, and maybe she felt comfortable because, you know, you're talking about what you're talking about in your professional background. Been a down day for Renee in Iowa, who's one of our longtime viewers and lovedies. Her uncle passed away from COVID last night. We send condolences, Renee, to you and your family from all of us here and from me and my family as well. There is a lot of that, a lot of loss happening, and fear and unrest. And what are some of the things that you're telling people and when it comes to dealing with loss, whether it's from what Renee's now dealing with? And again, we send you lots of lovity and a big hug from all of us here, Renee, to you and your family, from all of us here. You're probably hearing it all the time from so many people constantly reaching out. What do you say to somebody, you know, who loses a loved one during a time like this, or really any time, to continue on?
Well, I would say, you know, loss is wide, because it's not just loss of physical loss of somebody who has passed away, whether it's COVID or anything else, but also all the loss that people are experiencing in terms of their livelihoods, in terms of their hopes and their passions. And even if it's ideally going to be a temporary loss for some people, it's still a loss. And so the biggest thing I want to stress to people is to give themselves permission to feel what they feel about that loss. So there's a range of emotions people experience with grief and loss. There's not one right way to do it. And that the worst thing in the world is to try to pretend it doesn't bother you. And I think the other thing I would say is I encourage folks to reach out and take the support that's offered to them, because a lot of times there's a lot of folks out there who just think they have to plow through it on their own.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you have people who care about you and they're offering support in some way, take advantage of that.
Right. Exactly. It's beautiful work that you're doing. And of course, the theatrical side of things, the creative side, you are, like you said, you're really super serving that. Let's talk about early on. I want to know how you ended up where you are in Whidbey Island in Washington State, when originally from New Jersey. What was that journey like for you early on? Were you always a kid that were you spunky, and were you always full of life and always an entertainer? Or did that sort of come out of you later on as maybe you felt more comfortable to express yourself? What are some of those early inspirations for you from the artistic side of things, Ned?
As I said earlier, I was definitely an observer of humanity as a kid. I was the quiet one who would watch, and I was really intrigued with watching how people were in the world. I think that, you know, over time I realized that informed a lot of what I did as an actor. So I was pretty quiet, actually, except if I was in a group of people that I knew, and then I was a performer. I was the kid, I mean, as corny as it sounds, watching old, you know, Mickey Rooney movies, I was the kid who would have grabbed a bunch of my friends and put up a blanket outside and put on a show. I mean, we would have created a stage, you know,
We did
hung a
that
blanket.
too.
Yeah.
We took a blanket in our bedroom and put a rope from one side of the wall to
Yep.
the other. And, the bed was the stage, and our parents were on the other side in chairs. And my sister and I would whip that blanket back. And all of a sudden we were doing plays in the bedroom or in the garage with the neighborhood kids involved as well.
Right. Yep. We did that inside, outside. It didn't even matter if there was people watching us. We just did it.
You just enjoyed it.
Yeah. But so, I guess I had those two sides of me. I was quiet among people I didn't know very well, and I was pretty much a performer otherwise. And as soon as you put me on stage, then I was in my element, no matter what that was. And I was pretty non-risk averse. I was pretty willing to try almost anything. And that continued. I don't think that changed much. My getting from the East Coast to the West Coast was purely because of my family moving. My father's profession had us moving around a lot. So I lived many parts of the country. I lived in Canada briefly. And so ultimately wound up in the Bay Area, Oakland, San Francisco, which is where I went through high school and started really more seriously getting into the theater profession. Going to the University of Washington was because it was, at the time, one of the best professional training programs that was around. And I auditioned, I applied and auditioned late. So I was waitlisted and really didn't get into start there until my sophomore year. So I went to Berkeley for a year, and then I went up to Seattle thinking I'd go back to California. But other than performing, I stayed up in the Seattle area, and I lived in the city for most of my adult life. I spent a year and a half in London when I was at the Central School of Speech and Drama, which was a postgraduate certification. But otherwise, I've lived here. And getting to Whidbey Island was a fluke. Literally.
Have you returned to the East Coast? Have you come back east to do various productions, projects, different things over the years?
No, I haven't. I've really been a West Coaster, partly just because I kept getting the work. So, and I think there was definitely a part of me that was sort of afraid to jump into the big pool that is New York. To be fair, it's a very, very competitive arena. And because I was
thoughts of Broadway and things of that nature, was that?
Have I what?
Thoughts of Broadway over the years and off Broadway?
I'm sure when I was certainly in my 20s, there's always that thought, but I was frankly too chicken to actually consider trying. And I figured since I was getting work, that I might as well just stick with what I was doing. And it was stuff that I loved. I mean, musical theater was kind of my first love to begin with. And I sort of forced myself to branch into straight theater because I wanted the opportunity. But so no, I didn't ever go. And then by the time, I left theater when I was 30. So
5 years ago?
I wish I could say that. 20, almost 30 years ago.
I'm a gracious host.
Thank you so much.
I'm telling you, you look 40, 35. Yeah. You look
good genes and vanity,
Nice fresh water from the mountains of Washington State.
Yeah. I will say, yes, try to do as healthy living as much as you can.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But so that's kind of my journey. So I mostly work the West Coast, up and down the West Coast.
So what do you consider your first early sort of big break, or and Pamela Perkle says, "You just stole my line." It's good to see you, Pamela. Welcome. I know you've been very busy. We love having you here. And it's always nice to see you, Pamela. Welcome. Thank you. We're good here. I appreciate that. Sending love. I appreciate that. We are living in an interesting year. She's very nice. She's definitely a lovety.
Jana is wonderful. She's actually my current vocal coach.
Is she really?
Yes. She's an amazing jazz musician. So.
Yeah, Pamela says you look really young. I bet you still get carded for adult libations. I like that.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I do. I still do. I'm like, really? When I come back, 10, 20 years from now, can you please do the same thing? I want you to actually ask for the identification.
Yes. Yes.
Please ask. So you were saying a little bit about what you would consider maybe the first big break, the thing that really opened the doors for you early on, Ned.
I guess it would be a toss-up. In the musical theater world, it was probably getting cast in a regional tour of Superstar, because that's where I made some good connections with an agent out of the Bay Area. And I think in terms of, I had done some summer stock before that, 1776, Hello Dolly, Sound of Music. But I think that was the first where I started getting a bit more attention. That's where I started getting connected into doing more of the touring company kinds of things. As I said, I dabbled a little bit in some of the film stuff. It's not really the medium I like the most. I really like that live connection that you get with a theater. So I didn't really want to pursue that very much further. And I just did little feature things here and there. And again, I was doing work only for 10 years, seriously, out of college, that before I left. So there is a part of me that always wonders what could have happened if I'd stayed in the theater world, and what I've done, what choices would I have made to pursue something more seriously. I don't know. But I would say Superstar was probably the first big opportunity. Yeah, I guess that's what I would put. From a straight theater perspective, it was more connected to my training program at the university, because the faculty there at the time, Eve Roberts was one of my professors for acting, and that was when Bill Ross was artistic director, and the faculty at the U was very involved with the rep. They were sort of founding partners with the Seattle Repertory Theater. So having an opportunity as a student to even do anything there was kind of a fun thing. We did I can't believe I just forgot the name of the play. This is what happens when you get. This is what I blame everything. I blame everything on COVID.
Maybe you aren't 35.
See, there you go. These days, it's
don't
COVID
judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's the fact that you're on live. Yeah, have some more of whatever's in the mug there, and that might bring it
coffee.
back.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, me too. Although I'm having
too early for drinks.
And too late to have coffee for me. 5 o'clock. This is going to keep me up for a while. This water has been reheated multiple times today, and I'm finally getting a chance to have some of it. So that's fantastic. And then the opportunities slowly came from there. And what was next for you on your journey, your artistic journey, from after that opportunity came to fruition, Ned?
From that point on, I was Skin of Our Teeth, by the way. That was the play. See, there we go. From that point, it was really wherever I could audition or wherever my agent would send me, it would be what I would do. And it was hit and miss, but it was enough to keep me relatively connected. And of course, I was still waiting tables and bartending in between. It's funny you ask this, because I still have a bit of a mental block. It was such a difficult decision when I left the world, and I made the choice, so I can't blame it on anybody, but that I literally locked all that away. I got rid of most everything that reminded me of it. I have a few, like paper articles of things. but basically, I kind of put it behind me and decided, okay, I'm going to switch gears here and try to be happy doing what I'm doing now, which was getting into the mental health field and then into teaching. And it's been pretty successful. I feel very fortunate that I found another profession that I loved almost as much. So interestingly enough, if you really were to ask me what the next thing was, it was really when I decided to try to dabble back into theater again back in 2006 after moving to the island. Whidbey Island Center for the Arts is a staple here. It's been in existence for 20 some odd years. It's really becoming a regional theater. It's a beautiful little facility down the street. And I just went in and told them I was interested in doing some directing for them. And they handed me The Importance of Being Earnest because somebody else had dropped out of the role of director. And I love Oscar Wilde's work. I'd say Noel Coward and Oscar Wilde are two playwrights that I identify so much with the way that they write and the characters that they create. So it was fun to pick that back up. I just saw Gail say something, and Gail, I cast Gail on that show actually. So that was my first opportunity to work with her, and she's an amazing person to work with.
Gail mentioned two things. So glad you are back in theater, Ned, and also as far as having the cup of coffee, not for long, Ned. Wine time at 4.
Okay, you got it.
She's got it chilled.
Yeah, Gail is one of the people that I try to connect with. They have a little group that gets together and has wine outside every once in a while.
Very nice.
So,
Bernadette
anyway,
said, I'm sorry you had to lose that part, but so glad you came back to theater. Gail says, excellent production. I was Miss Prism. And June says, so awesome working with Ned as well. And Willie is in Holland in the Netherlands saying hello as well. So we got our international audience tuning in. So that's great. Everybody's happy that you are back in musical theater. That's been near and dear to your heart.
Well, theater of all sorts now. Yeah. It's full circle. For me, it's like full circle. It's like I get to finish my life doing the thing that was my passion to begin with, and having a little bit of a different bent after living in this world. Because Outcast really focuses a lot on sort of socially conscious theater.
Explain that for people that are watching. Outcast Productions, based where you are there. The theme, the vision, the mission, the premise. Tell us all about that.
So, as I mentioned, Sandy O'Brien was my colleague who I had directed in Cabaret, actually. And she has a background. She's from New York, and she has a background in musical theater as a dancer and actress. Mm-hmm. I know she was an understudy for, I can't remember who for now, in the 73 Broadway production of Irene, and then did touring company work as well, and then wound up moving west to Las Vegas, actually, and worked in theater there for quite a while. And she became a therapist too. So we had a lot of similarities, but, and she, as I said, has retired now from the world. But we knew that we had a really progressive, intellectually focused patron base here. And we wanted to do things that weren't typical necessarily for a community-based theater, or I wouldn't say so much regional theater, but certainly community-based theater. And we really were interested in looking at things that were a little bit, that would make us think. Right. That were edgy, that were reflective of what was happening in the world, and then throwing in fun things, obviously, for fun here and there. So we created this production company. We found a space that was basically just a blank slate, and over a couple of years built a black box theater and completely decked it out as much as we possibly could. I mean, we keep making improvements. We've been in
right there on the island,
right in Langley. Yeah, wow. We're actually on an old fairgrounds in an old WPA building.
Wow.
And have created this 50-seat black box space that we're constantly upgrading. And we did 2 shows literally on the floor with light, with lamps light trees.
Yeah.
Very basic. And the very first show was Yankee Tavern by Stephen Dietz, which is all about 9/11 and the conspiracy theories around 9/11.
There are a few.
Yeah, and it was, and Stephen Dietz is a Seattle playwright who is also in residence down in Texas at one of the universities, and he's written some wonderful plays. And he actually came up to see it, so that was quite fun. But and then we did a really crazy musical called the Great American Trailer Park Musical. So we just did those two to see if we had legs, to see if people would come.
Right.
And we sold out.
And they came.
And they came. And from that point on, we started. We have had 9 successful seasons. We usually do 4 full productions. And then we started about the 3rd year it was really an accident. Someone asked us if we would be willing to workshop a new play. Mm-hmm. And so we said, sure, why not? We'll do it. We did a table read, and then we did a stage reading after they did some work on it. We also were involved when 8 Dustin Lance Black's script based on the Proposition 8 trials in California, the marriage equality stuff. Yeah, we got permission from him to go ahead and do a stage reading of that back in 2013, which we had to film and give back to them. And then from there, we just decided to create a new workspace every year to do a weekend stage reading of a new script. And then Edward came along. Edward moved to the island, Edward Jordan, who you've had on, and said, I've got an old fun B-movie that we're creating a musical out of called Bollywood and Vine. And I would love it if you guys would support us by doing a workshopping of it. And so, that's how I met June and Daniel Meaden.
Yeah.
And we brought in 4 actors from out of state. We had 4 actors from the island, myself included.
There was a reading too, or a preview performance, or reading in Manhattan just a couple years ago. I was there. June had invited me, Daniel had invited me, and we were there, and it was terrific. And even that there wasn't a seat in the house for that.
Yeah. That's all the revision work that they've been working on, because we did it, I think, June might correct me, but I think we did that in 2015, maybe 2016.
And June remembers. She says we had a blast. We sure did. Yeah.
So
we ended up at a 24-hour diner having
tuna
melts and split pea soup late at night after.
Right. Yeah, they all flew. They were out here, and we did a 2-week. It was supposed to be a stage reading with some costumes, some lights. We were supposed to do 2 performances, and Daniel said, "I tell you what, let's just get us all off book." So we basically did the equity, 8 to 10 hours a day rehearsal period. Right. And then wound up doing 3 shows because we sold out 2 of them, and it was a blast. It was actually really, really fun to kind of workshop that show for them, and we recorded it for them for yes, we did, June, and then they went off and they continued to work on that and to remaster it and to do some changes in the music and some changes in the character. I actually played Detective Travis, which was the love interest of the older movie actress character. And now they've switched that, from my understanding. It's now a woman. So, which is good for them. So it was really, but that's kind of how that connection happened. And then from there, we've been doing this new works project every year. And then June, I think it was during that time, said, gee, I'm working on a new musical, or I have a new musical that I'd love it if you would be interested in premiering it. So, So in 2018, November of 2018, I had the privilege of directing the Hotel Belclair as the world premiere of June's new musical with Kezia Kersey, who did the composing, and June wrote the book and did the lyrics. And Gail, who's on here, was in it with 2 other actresses. And in fact, we just did a live stream reboot of it a couple of weeks ago as part of our 2020 streaming season. Because 2020 was supposed to be our 10th anniversary season, and it got kicked to the ground. So
Yeah.
we've been trying to find ways to stay connected to our patrons, and what we've been doing is pulling up the filming of the brand new work that we workshopped, because we had permission from the playwrights to do that. And then we're hoping to do some creative new streaming work in the new year to keep us going until we can be back in the theater again. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad June was so happy with Belclare, because believe me, I felt a lot of responsibility putting up something on stage for the very first time. But it was an absolute joy to do, and the music is wonderful.
I remember when June was mentioning heading out to the West Coast, to Seattle for that, and very, very exciting, really. You know, these are great opportunities for people to create and to collaborate, and that's very important, isn't it? It's the collaboration, it's the creativity, it's coming together. Without getting, into a whole other topic, but just scratching the surface a little bit. The bottom line to life, the bottom line to creativity, the bottom line to art, the bottom line to everything is collaboration, creativity, not divisiveness. It's coming together, because when you come together, like when you're at a table and you're putting scripts together and the sets are being built and the lighting and the audio and the musicians are tuning up and all of these things that are happening, it takes all of us to do these kinds of things, to create, to inspire, to be positive, to touch people's lives in such a deep way through performance, through the arts, and in everyday life too. And sometimes I think we go in a different direction, where I'm over here and you're over there, and we don't need to meet in the middle. We don't need to ever, I'm just going to listen to what I want to hear and you listen to what you want to hear. But then nothing gets created, nothing happens, and nothing is developed, and we don't go forward. And I think this is a great example of when putting a production together or working on a team, a reminder of how important it is, because everybody has their role, everybody has their passion, everybody has their dream. And when all of that energy comes together, you get brilliant art, brilliant production, brilliant science, whatever it may be. And you have your feet in both areas, the scientific side of things and the artistic side of things. So you can really speak to that as far as the fact that life really does take a village, right?
It does, absolutely. And again, there's that creativity, which for me keeps me alive. I mean, literally, from a soul perspective. I can't imagine not having that part of my life. So, and I love engaging in that creative process with people. And, as you said earlier, theater is not an easy profession to work in. And for me, it's, at this point in my life, it's no longer about, it's no longer about making it. It's no longer about, being like, I'm not interested in rejoining a union at this point in time. I mean, I'm just doing this because it's a passion, and I want to bring it to the community, and I want people involved who love to do the work. And I love working with folks who don't have a lot of experience and help them grow. And I love working with folks who have lots of experience in the theater world and have had professional careers, who still love it and just want to do the work. And so it's fun for me watching how I feel one of the things I can bring is an ability to bring that continuum of experience together and make it work. It's like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah.
And then getting all the support around the areas that are not my areas, like, lighting and technical and the things that I don't feel that I have the skills to do, that we can do those things. And I'm just so thrilled that in this part of my life, I get to play again in the things that I love. And I just keep hoping I'm hoping we can make it through this pandemic without falling apart. I feel like we're in a pretty good financial situation, so that's good. But
That's actually a plus. A lot aren't.
yeah,
Do you plan for that, or is the community very supportive? Or that's great.
it's a mix. It's a mix. We do targeted fundraising. We don't build budgets based on fundraising goals. We
Yeah.
build budgets based on what we make, ticket sales.
Mm.
And then we do some targeted fundraising for capital campaign purposes, like improvements. And so we've been very lucky that we actually, out of I think it's been 45 productions that we've done, we only lost money on one. And we've either broken even or made money on the rest.
25. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Wow.
So we have money in the bank to cushion us while we get through this period. But we also have some wonderful donors who are, here's an example. Our season ticket holders for 2020, when we realized we had to shut down,
Mm-hmm.
not one of them asked for a refund.
They're there. They're sticking.
there.
Right.
Yeah. And we offered it more than once.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. They understand the value that it provides to the community as a whole, but also in their lives, and they wouldn't want to see it gone. And there are some venues and theaters, restaurants, whatever, businesses that are really, they're established, but they're on thin ice right now. And a lot of performance halls that are dark. And however we can support all of them and those that make the magic, it's important because it adds such richness to our lives, culture, and enjoyment to our lives in so many different ways. Sometimes when we go through life, and even in the world I'm in television and radio and broadcast and all of this, same thing with everything we create, the shows and the productions, and it provides richness to our lives and diversity and culture and understanding of the human condition in ways that sometimes we all take advantage of. We forget about it. And then when it's not there, we're like, what happened? I liked it better when it was there. And I think people getting a taste of that now with everything the way it is. So people are not asking for refunds because they love what you do. They appreciate and value what you do, and they want you to stay. And that must really make you feel good. And the team and the performers that are a part of the entire operation you must really take your hats off and say thank you, huh? It's a blessing.
I feel really privileged to have this kind of a community. And I feel like we really do have folks that support us. I mean, we have a pretty strong, consistent patron base. I think of over 500 who are mostly coming to the shows pretty regularly. We even have folks from off island who come almost every show.
So do they do do you have a lot of people that are buying individual tickets based on show, or do you have a lot of season ticket holders who they have the whole season and they go to almost every show you've got?
It's a mix. I would say we have we do 8 shows. When we do a production, we do 8 shows over 3 weekends. And because it's, again, we live in a rural area, so it's not like a huge population base. But I would say, we sell out the equivalent of one house that's season tickets. And then the rest of them are individual ticket sales. And we're pretty reasonable in what we charge because we recognize a lot of people don't have a lot of money. So we try to make it pretty accessible. But yeah, it's a very great supportive community, particularly because of all the arts going on here. People support each other's arts.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a huge difference as well, and offers some interesting collaboration opportunities. And the other thing I would say about right now is, again, this is one of the lights in the middle of this COVID pandemic is I'm finding once I got through my initial couple of months of putting my head in the sand and saying, oh, poor me, poor theater, I'm sort of excited by what we're learning about how to do digital performance. Not that it's going to replace live theater, but instead of just looking at as, okay, well, we can throw up something we've videoed or filmed and show it to our patrons that were in the theater, that there are playwrights that I'm in contact with all over the place. I have a playwright friend in London who's quite prolific and quite well produced around the world, but he, among others, they're actually beginning to write for digital performance. They're writing short plays or monologues or scenes that can be literally, they're built around like Zoom, or they're not necessarily even built around going into a theater with no audience and filming something and then putting it up. I mean, I think that's important too. Yeah. But I'm actually kind of excited by some of the things we might be able to do in the meantime, you know, and whether any of that can be something that we can continue once we're back in the theater, I don't know. But rather than being pushed to the ground by this, I'm excited by finding some ways. In fact, I'm working on a project right now that is going to be a mixture of Zoom performance and some filmed performance in the theater, you know, socially distanced and spaced and healthily done. Yeah. But it's all built around short plays that are all focused on living in the pandemic. So.
Right, exactly. I mean, I can fully understand, because even with this show, this entertainment lifestyle talk show series that we do every day here, this is sort of very connected to work I do professionally in television, radio, and stage and all. And for years, people have said to me, Jim, you know, you should do something like this. And I've worn a lot of hats in the industry, television, radio, you know, many different stations and networks and shows and all kinds of cool things, at which I'm blessed by and have loved it and still love it. And it's a passion and a drive, and been with it for years. But this sort of pushed me forward to create this daily show, bringing in, you know, the television equipment and building the home studio here, and doing it just about almost 7 days a week for 200 episodes for 29 weeks and all of this, because I said, you know what, I still want to continue connecting. Because when the pandemic hit, for everybody everywhere, everything sort of slowed a little bit. So I wasn't getting on planes and flying to Texas and Florida, or going to Ireland and doing those TV shoots for the various things. We weren't necessarily in the studios. A lot of the studios were closed. A lot of, you know, so working out of the house, the home studio, radio shows out of the house, all of that. And there's still a lot of that happens. So, I can fully understand that you can embrace this sort of environment. I know there's some artists I've talked to who have said, well, you know, I like, we don't use Zoom. We have a dedicated streaming service for this show. But some of the artists I noticed lately, and you might have heard this too, some of the artists have been saying, you know, in the beginning, when I started with this type of thing where I'm going online or whatever, it was sort of novel and interesting, and I had to figure out how to do it all, because we don't normally do this kind of thing. You know, there's crew, and there's a team of people that put all these things together when it's on stage or in a studio or on location. And they've been saying that there's a few of them that have said, okay, I'm good with it. Like, I want to get back on stage. I want to get back where there's actual people in front of me smiling and laughing, and I hear the roar of the crowd. Like, they like this whole online thing, but some of them are saying, but I really need to be amongst the people. Are you hearing that too as well?
Oh, absolutely.
The performer is saying that, not necessarily the director but the performer saying that more.
No, absolutely. And I totally understand that. I mean, there is no equivalent energy than when you have an audience and you get that feedback. So I totally understand that. And I certainly hear it from a lot of the actors that I work with. I can tell you I definitely have those feelings as well. So for me, it's more about how do you hold the both end of it? Yes, that's true. And when we can get back in and do that, definitely that's what we're going to be doing.
Sure.
And not only in the meantime is it an opportunity to learn some new skills and
Right.
to still try to find a way to be creative and to entertain.
Yes.
Um, but that there may be ways in which that this can even be integrated back in to what we do in the future.
Like an adjunct to
Yeah,
the other, right? An add-on, like some additional thing. If you missed it, here you can see it on here, or
yeah,
here's a little
yeah.
teaser or a snippet or a short bit of it or something. Or yeah, absolutely.
Right, right. It can expand our patron base too, in some ways. And I think of that, as the artistic director, I think of that as a financial opportunity.
And it's a different mindset too, because the online world tends to like things sometimes shorter, faster, quicker hits, like these
Right.
hits. So even for us to be doing these shows that we do for the length that we do them, like you and I have already talked in over an hour and 15 minutes, and it doesn't feel like that at all.
No.
Bringing back sort of the lost art of conversation, which I enjoy doing, is sort of out of the norm a little bit of what you'll find a lot of times online, where it's sort of just a quick little video, something that's just a short couple of questions and answers, and just but I really like to go deep, and I really like to have a conversation, not necessarily an interview. I do that in professional work, and I think there is room to have longer form material online as people get more used to it. I think, again, a lot of people have gone online to get a quick piece of information,
Right.
a piece of entertainment, and will go to the theater or watch TV or go to a movie house to see the longer form material. But I think as people get more used to it, these longer form things, I mean, we're certainly paving the way here with the Jim Masters Show live. I mean, some of the shows have gone lengthy, and I enjoy it. I don't put a time, there's no clock on it for me. And sometimes when you do put the clock on it, it rushes things, it confines things, it forces things. Obviously, if somebody has to go somewhere where we have time constraints, then you do that. But I just think it sort of makes things then sort of, we're always looking at the end without concentrating on the during.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
and these productions and these things you're talking about sharing online, people I think will really gravitate to as they become more used to things being done this way. I mean, do I love being in a television studio, in a radio studio, or on location on a shoot? Or absolutely, that's number one. But this is also wonderful too. And there's a great reach as well, because here we are, and we have people watching in the Netherlands and South Africa and Australia and Ireland right now, and Canada. And here we are, you're in your home and I'm in mine. And neither one of us had to start the car.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some advantages. And like Kathy Short says, digital entertainment has been a lifesaver this summer. I've had 10 tickets for live shows that were canceled. Performers really helped stepping up with the online shows. I mean, we're all doing that. Jill says, yes, shorter attention span online. I think we're working to turn that around a little bit. I think we can connect with people all over the world. Absolutely. Bernadette says, agreed, Jim. It stills the flow of conversation sometimes when it's rushed, or it's like, okay, see you later. Exactly. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour. Like that makes, as soon as I saw that, it makes me think of Lawrence Welk. 1 and 2, 3 with the bubbles.
Yes.
Exactly. Christine says, oh, that's a big one. Since the spring, there have been many virtual shows and musicians and daily, weekly, monthly presented all over, therapeutic for musicians and viewers, and for all types of, not even just the arts, but for all kinds of conversations about health and wellness and food and science and life in general, which I like to blend elements of on this show. Just focus on one category or one area of expertise. Every show is something different and unique, and the way they used to always do it. Your show works because it's very heartfelt and authentic. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. I want to show some fantastic photos we have here. We've been digging through the archives, doing our research, Ned.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I want to ask you too. Do you ever do? I imagine you've probably done voiceover work too, or narration, right? I've done a lot of that work, and that's a great area.
I've actually toyed with it, but I actually haven't stepped in very much. It's something that now that my life is going to simplify a bit when I finish up my university work, because for quite the last 10 years I've been sort of doing 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to that not being the case. Like now I'm half-time at the university, so I'm already feeling that freeing up a bit. But so that is one of the things that I have thought about. I don't know whether we're all I don't know whether everybody is. I'm very self-critical when it comes to listening to myself. So I often go in with the mindset that I don't have that kind of a voice, but I enjoy the idea.
Yes, I'm sure, absolutely. And well, I'm not sure about this one. It's a virus, the Jim virus. I cannot live without Jim. You might want to switch take the word virus out this year and just say a phenomenon or something. That might be a little bit.
But it is catchy.
Yeah, right. Well, you've watched our show, so you get a feel for what we're doing here. And I like that what Bernadette says here. Did the same with their theater group, and other local theaters as well need the money to stay afloat, which is very, very important. We were talking a little bit about that earlier. She says she has a question here, and we're looking back a little bit to see if we can find that. There was a point that she made that she wanted us to ask you, and I'm this billion comments. Bernadette, if you can type that question again, because there's 1,000 of them here, and it's probably buried in. So Bernadette, that question that you had, or that comment that you had a question for Ned. Here it is. Can you show him my 2 comments on how our area theater has handled it? Maybe good ideas for Ned. Type that in again so we can see that, because I think it's way back up there. There's so much activity here as well. So many cool photos here. And I wanted to start with this one. Tell us about this one, Ned.
So that's just a shot of the audience part of our theater. This is our little black box. Literally, as you can see, it's not a big space.
Yeah.
So this started off as just a room.
How many does it hold?
50.
50. That's nice.
Yeah. And when we started, we were on the floor with folding chairs and a platform stage. And then over the years have created this. I was really fortunate. An old colleague of mine from my university theater days is the technical director for one of the theaters in Seattle. And they happened to be changing out all of their theater seats.
Yeah.
And so he said, if you can get the truck, I'll give you the seats.
Isn't that incredible?
So, it was one of those moments where you just think that the stars are aligned, and here we go.
Have a lot of history to them. If those seats could talk, huh?
This is a funny little thing. We chose not to take off all the seat numbers.
Yeah.
But we installed them out of order.
Ah.
So, we don't, it's festival seating. Since it's a small space, there's no bad seat. So we don't do assigned seating. But we thought it would be really funny sometime to do assigned seating and have people be a little bit perplexed about how seat 105 is next to seat 2. But yes, that's what that space is. And this is probably from a couple of years ago, I'm guessing.
Bernadette, here's her comment. She goes, it's not really a question, but comments. She said, we did some digital performances online and also did monthly drive-in cabarets, appropriately masked and social distanced during the warmer months. That's wonderful to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We talked about an outdoor space, but we talked about that a little bit too late in the summer season.
Yeah.
So we were still sort of gravitating to how we were going to do something. But I
Yeah.
think, I'm not, who knows how long this is going to last. That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
For us up here in the Northwest, this is not the time of year where that's going to work too well.
It all depends on, the movement of the vaccine, the safety of the
Right.
vaccine, all those elements in 2021.
But
Here's
definitely
another.
the digital.
Yes, absolutely. The digital is terrific,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Masked social distancing. That's a great thing, Bernadette. Absolutely. Love this. Tell us about this. Lots of
So
color.
this is actually from last year, our 2019 season. In our slot that we usually devote to new works, we actually did a stage reading of Inherit the Wind because we thought it was sort of politically appropriate. So this is actually a rehearsal, and that's actually my colleague Sandy standing on the stage. So that's what it looks like when we, this is from the tech booth
Mm-hmm.
up in the corner, but this is kind of what our stage can look like when we actually have it decked out. And again, it's a stage reading that we were doing. So we
Yeah.
do some set work and we do lighting and we do some costuming, so that it's an enjoyable experience. But that's what this is.
I was going to say it has a warmth, it has an intimacy where I would imagine the audience sometimes they almost feel like they've been part of the actual production in a way because they're so close, they can see everything, hear everything clearly, and it's that intimacy that is really well crafted here, huh?
Right, right. And that's what the feedback we get from a lot of our patrons is they love the intimacy of the space. We get asked all the time, do we ever want to move into a bigger space? And at least right now, the answer is no. We really like this intimacy, and it's pretty potent
Yeah.
sometimes. When we're doing some of the plays that we've done, you can really tell how it affects an audience when they sit that close. That happened for us when we did August Osage County.
Mm-hmm.
Imagining doing that show in this space, but we did.
Yeah.
And we had some patrons who emailed us to say they left after the second act, because it's a 3-act play, and the second act is the powerful family dinner scene. And they emailed us back to say, we didn't want you to think we left because we didn't like it. We left because it was too close to home. It was too emotionally triggering.
Yeah, right. That's amazing, huh? That's incredible.
It means we did our job.
I mean, you did your job. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. They really, really connected with it. Here's another shot.
Oh, yes. That's from Jacques Brel that we did in 2015. And that's me. If I'm looking at it, would be stage left.
I was going to say, not the middle.
No, not the middle. Yeah, we did it. It's usually done with 2 men and 2 women, and we did it with 2 men and 1 woman. So we divided up those 26 songs among the 3 of us. So it was quite the powerhouse show.
Look at this one.
That's from our first show of the 2019 season, Handy Dandy. That's by the guy who wrote I'm blanking on his name right off the bat, the guy who wrote The Miracle Worker.
Yeah.
And this is all about nuclear. The whole idea is about the nun who is protesting nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And keeps getting arrested.
Nuclear proliferation.
Yeah, and keeps getting arrested for it.
That's not so easy to say, is it?
No. Yeah, so this was a show I directed that went up in March of 2019.
Nice.
And kept it very, very simple.
It is. And was that also very well received?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had, I think we sold like 85% of our seats for this one.
Really?
But again, this is the kind of thing, this is a good example of what we do with our mission.
Yeah.
Is to choose material that you might not see otherwise, and they're small, but they're powerful reflections of kind of what's happening in the world.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's where the name is so apropos. Outcast Productions. Tell us about this. This looks like an action scene here, huh?
Well, there you go. There's the dinner scene, the end of the dinner scene of August Osage County, where Barbara, which is actually Gail Liston, who's on here today, they're on to the stage right part. and Sandy, who is on the couch stage right with the shorter, blonder hair, who played the mother, and Gail played the oldest daughter, and they just had the big fight over the pills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. That's great. I like that. I'm gonna have to come out and see you guys there in the Pacific Northwest. There's another one. Which one was this?
So this was my first dip back into theater after all those years. 2006. This was when I directed The Importance of Being Earnest for Whidbey Island Center for the Arts.
Very nice.
And that's Act 3. The set designer created basically a Victorian toy theater idea for the set. Mm-hmm. So it was all two-dimensional, but two-dimensional flats, but in a three-dimensional setting, and each act has a different look. So this is the third act, which takes place out in the garden area.
Did the shows have a certain runtime? Meaning, are they like a couple of nights, a week? How long?
They run both for their theater and our theater. We run 3 weekends, a total of 8 performances.
Very nice. So do you have matinee and evening?
What we started off with Friday, Saturday nights, and Sunday matinees at 2:00. But we changed that up at Outcast about 3 or 4 years ago, because what we realized is those 2:00 matinees weren't really working very well, and I think it's about timing. So we shifted our matinee to 4:00, so it gave people time for a day, come see a show, and still go home in time to have dinner in an evening. And we got rid of one of our 2 Sunday matinees and put in a Thursday night performance on the final weekend, and that's our cheap seat night. So it's our inexpensive ticket night, which makes it a little bit more accessible for some folks. And what has turned out is that we actually have much better houses. And so our one Sunday 4:00 matinee, we tend to fill most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. So it's been better for us, actually.
We'll take a look at a few more shots that we've got here, but that leads me to thinking, how there's a phenomenal theater they're building in Connecticut, literally along the coast, just east of New Haven, and they are building this theater that used to be a puppet theater, where they did puppet shows for years, legendary place. So it got sold, and people had come in within their community, and they're redoing the entire building and construction and all kinds of things like that. But what they're doing is, and I guess it's an advantage because they gutted it and they're able to work on it from a construction point of view now, which they are social distancing and everything. But they are constructing the seating for social distancing. They're actually putting the seats in with social distancing. Do you find that once the theater resumes, where people are coming back, vaccine or otherwise, that in order to attract people back, welcome them back, there might be some initial social distancing that's happening within the theater as far as the seating arrangements?
This is kind of a dilemma when you have a small space.
Yeah, it is.
And I think, because people were asking us about that, and
yeah,
the problem is more a financial problem.
To be able to you count ticket.
Yeah, a small space, if we were to socially distance, we'd probably not able to have more than 10 or 12 people.
Yeah.
And what you pay for producing a show, between what you have to pay out for sets and lighting and all of that, as well as pay for the rights. Mm-hmm. Since most things we do have rights attached to them.
Yes.
That makes it a challenge, because we would basically lose money. So we would have to have upfront investment. Yeah. To be able to do that, would be my suspicion. That doesn't mean we won't be able to try it, perhaps, with a couple of things, but I think it would mean the choice of what we chose to produce would be somewhat financially dependent.
Right. So maybe some community support and corporate and underwriting and different sponsorships, different things might be able to facilitate that if that's what has to be done in the beginning. Hopefully, we'll get past all of this where we can just be next to each other. I can't see our world for the rest of our lives, where the person is, is that you? How you look great. I don't think,
Right.
Although they do say we have to be 6 feet apart from each other and we have to be 10 feet away from the refrigerator.
That's probably a very good thing.
Yes, a very good thing. Juanita, who's in South Africa, says our little town has a wonderful yearly pantomime this year will be presented in the form of an outdoor picnic. Luckily, we are moving into summer. They're moving into summer there. And Wozniak says our local dinner theater is able to remain open by 50% capacity, adding matinee performances, which are ideal for the seniors as well. So everybody's working around and trying to do different things. And again, the online is a whole other area, like you're discussing with us, that is a new venture, and can at least have people feel connected and still see things and be a part of it as well. We're going to dig a little deep here, my friend. Yes, I am Ralph Edwards, and this is your life, Ned Farley. Who's that young chap there? I believe that's 1974.
Yes, it is. That's my one of my first headshots, professional headshots that I had done back in the day, and you can tell it's the 70s. If you could see what I was wearing, the pants I was wearing, you would see that they were big flares, bell-bottom kind of flares, right?
Big, right? The bell-bottom's big,
and the ankh around the neck, because that was what everybody was wearing back then. The Egyptian ankh.
Right, exactly. The vest and
big hair.
The big hairstyle, exactly. Although Willie in Holland loves it. Looking cool. So if you ever have a hankering to return, because retro is in right now, Ned.
I don't know whether I could handle that.
I was going to say, do you still have the bell bottoms?
No. Well, actually, I have one pair, but it was because I created them for a costume party.
The Sergio Valente jeans and Calvin Klein and all the rest, Gloria Vanderbilt. And now we take it a little bit later. This is, I believe, 2017, right?
Yeah, that was done more recently by a great photographer, actually, here on the island, who's also an actor. But he does wonderful pictures. And so that was a headshot he did for me back then.
Very nice. Very nice. I like what Danilo is joining us here in San Diego, California. He's one of our regular lovities and faithful viewers. He, in terms of 6 feet social distance, better than 6 feet under. I like that. That needs to be on billboards on all the highways and everywhere. Wear the mask and social distance, better than 6 feet under. I like that.
Yep.
Good thinking, my friend. Good thinking. We have the masks on all the time. Yankee Tavern 2011. Tell us about this one, Ned.
Okay, yeah, I think I mentioned this a little bit ago. This was our very first production in our space. So that's a pretty close-up of the stage, which is obviously a tavern, with the four of us who actually were acting in that. So that's me on the stage left side with my baseball cap and my beard, playing the person who is the kind of secretive. The character's name is Palmer, and he's the guy who stumbles in and talks about the conspiracy theories, but he's kind of the mysterious stranger as the play unravels.
Yeah.
Great script. Great people to work with.
Sherry goes, I think the photos are some of Jim's favorite surprises for his guests. Because, sometimes guests are like, oh, wow, where'd you find that? Or, wow, that's cool. Or, or it makes me, I forgot about that. I was in that, or I was a part of that, which is really cool. Hotel Bel Claire as well, which we were referencing.
Yep, here's June's show. I believe this is it's the second act. And there's Gail in the middle, and Kathy, who's I think on with us today too.
Yeah.
is on the left there.
Yeah, she's
And I think
there.
I'm pretty sure they're singing the song that's It Sucks to Get Old. No,
Yes.
getting old really sucks. Sorry, that's the actual title of the song.
Although
Great score.
I was going to say, although both are interchangeable because both are accurate.
Yep, yep.
That is funny. Um, cool. And I mean, these sets look great. The lighting looks great, you guys. Here's another one. This is a classic, The Gin Game.
Yep, another show I directed back, I believe, in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember. Yeah, these are wonderful actors to work with.
Have you had talent come through who either live in the area or what have you, who are, you know, big name people who've acted in any of the performances as well?
We, believe it or not, mostly I'm relying on local talent.
That's great. Yeah,
We have brought in a few people
sure.
from outside, but and it is something that I would certainly do more of. But part of it is we're at this point in time avoiding going down the equity waiver road,
Yeah,
because that's kind of a tough one to deal with.
it's a whole other world.
It's gotten a lot harder actually than it used to be.
Right.
So while we will bring folks in, they tend to be folks who are, if we've got an equity waiver a couple of times, but mostly we try to work with folks who are not and who have, some good backgrounds and experiences. But as I say, I've also got some wonderful actors who don't have a lot of background, but they're really fun to work with, and they're very trainable.
How about children?
We predominantly do pretty adult-oriented stuff.
Yeah.
So
have they asked about children or having a children's program? Or
we have a wonderful children's theater here in Langley. So that's been around for over 30 years.
So that's where they
go.
That's
the main area. But we have a great collaborative connection with them, and there are conversations about some shows that we would like to do that would involve bringing some kids in. Yeah,
that's fantastic. You team up with them. That's fantastic. That's great. You're living your dream, you really are. And Karen has a question here. Jim, ask Ned to Google Highland Arts Theatre in Nova Scotia. She's in Nova Scotia, Canada, one of our regular viewers and lovities. Our local theater was able to reopen due to a program called Radical Access. Season ticket holders, the public and sponsors were asked to pledge a monthly amount for a year to keep our theater doors open. And then she continues, and it worked. They raised the amount of donations they were looking for to keep the doors open for another year. I think they are the first local theater to achieve this radical access. And Highland Arts Theatre is all ages, children to seniors, and they're in Canada. They're in Nova Scotia. That sounds like an interesting way to sort of handle a lot of this, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Karen, for that. I mean, I will look that up. I absolutely will. And that's kind of an interesting idea. There's that part of me that's thinking, oh, I don't want to be asking a lot of people for money right now because I know it's a struggle for people. But there are people who are willing to donate. So, yeah, that's a great idea.
Absolutely. So, artistic director as well as singer too, right? I know you're getting more and more in the singing, and you're an actor as well. Tell us about the singing prowess that flame is being reignited.
Well, when I left the theater back many years ago, to not date myself too much, when I left the theater back in the 80s,
before COVID,
way before COVID.
BC, it's a different BC than before Christ.
I also unfortunately had developed some nodes on my vocal cords from probably straining a bit too much, even though I had some wonderful vocal coaches over the years. And so I had to stop singing, and I had some surgery, and then I was basically told to can it for a while. And frankly, because I wasn't doing theater anymore, I really wasn't singing, except in the shower, like so many of us.
Yeah.
And
in the car.
Since I've been back involved with theater again, I started once again working with a vocal coach, Gianna, who's been with us, who's an amazing vocal coach. And I've worked with some really good vocal coaches. I worked with the choral director for the Seattle Opera. I worked with Marnie Nixon for a while because she was living up here in Washington State when she remarried years ago, back in the 70s. And Gianna has done an amazing job. She's very good at kind of pinpointing just little things, just do this little thing. And it's amazing what the result is. So I started, just for my own sake, I started just bringing my voice back in, and, you know, a little fearfully because I didn't want to hurt it again.
Yeah.
And then did Jacques Brel, which was fine, but I would say I wasn't fully ready. I was a little cautious. I was overly cautious at singing too loud. But I've continued, and frankly, it's been this pandemic. I've just started working with an app online called Smool that a lot of people are involved with, which I had no clue about, and that was a recommendation from Gianna, which is you have tracks that you can sing to, and I just do a lot of, basically she has me singing and then going back and listening to it and paying attention to the places I need to work. And the pandemic has just offered me an opportunity. It's been, you know, I'm probably more critical of myself again than anybody else. I don't feel like my voice is back where it was at one point in my life.
A lot of artists and performers and are very hard on themselves.
But it's been it's been a mood booster, frankly. It's been something, it's that creative thing I talked about earlier.
Yes.
That helps me deal with all of this staying at home and not being connected.
I would say I can understand, and a lot of people that I've talked to in all these different industries, and even some folks who have come on as guests on this show, this series, some people, there's major movie actors who won't watch their movie ever. They move on to the next project. I think Johnny Depp is one that was interviewed once, and they asked, did you watch when you were in this? Did you? No. Yeah. No. And it shocks people. They're like, my God, that was such a great production, a great film, and they move forward. For me, and I've talked about it on this show too, usually even though, you know, I seem very calm and cool and collected and everything, and that's because I'm a Libra, so it's balance and harmony for us. But my cylinders are all firing. I'm aware of everything that's going on. I'm all in. It's like full Monty. The adrenaline is high, and it's like a sport. But I usually don't like what I just did right after just doing it, whether it's something that I did audio, video, television, radio, anything. I will look with a critical eye at all the different things involved with it, including myself. And I have found, because some people will say, again, that they don't watch or rewatch anything or re-listen to anything that they do. And then other people will say, oh, do you rewatch things because you think you're fantastic or whatever? And I'm like, absolutely the opposite of that. I will watch things, and when I watch them, things I've done on television or elsewhere, including even this series on the internet, with a critical eye, and I will try to detach myself from being myself. In order for me to fully enjoy it, I have to watch it not as Jim Masters. I have to watch it as the viewer, as the consumer. Would I be swept away by whatever it was that was done and performed and said and presented? Would I have been touched by that, inspired, moved? Would I have believed in it or what have you? So I need to be emotionally disconnected from it. And the emotion is the emotion that I have doing it, the buildup, the work, the adrenaline, the expectation, oftentimes, which is self-imposed expectation. And I often say to people, and even a few people I've mentored, I said, because for me, I see it through this lens of looking out. When it's re-aired or redone or what have you, I'm now seeing it from the perspective and the vantage point of everybody else. because I'm not doing it and I'm not looking at it from this lens. I'm looking at it now or listening to it from the perspective of everybody else. So it's a different feeling. So in order for me to fully sit back and really relish in it, I need to detach from the immediate emotion of all the expectation and the buildup, because there will be times I've been in television studios and the like where we've done something and everybody is like, my God, that was fantastic. You guys were great. You nailed it. Spot on. It was, the audience loved it. The viewers, the listeners, wow, wow, wow. Producers, whoever, clap, clap, clap. I'll hear that, but it won't register fully. I'll hear it. I'll appreciate that I'm hearing it. Thank you very much. That's kind of you to say that. But for me, it doesn't sink in till later when I'm away. There's some space and the emotional commitment is removed, and I get to enjoy it as everybody else does. So I need sort of that emotional detachment because I'm so invested in it. And I can look at work I've done and pull tapes out from things I've done over the years, 10 years ago, 15, whatever it is, and fully now appreciate what they said then, those wonderful accolades, those kind words, the support, the love, whatever it is, much more now than then, because I'm detached from that emotional expectation that I've put into it. So I'll appreciate it more. And I'll say, you know what, with that level of experience then, with the chaos that was going on in the studio and, with everything that was happening, actually, that was pretty good. That was a funny line, or that was a good whatever. But it takes a little separation from the work itself, because I invest so much of myself and have such a high bar and expectation. And sometimes, and I'm sure you will agree, that overthinking, and I've had this conversation with others too, overthinking it can get in the way. Sometimes some of the best things, and this is probably why I love live shows, live television, live radio broadcasts. I love it's a tightrope you're walking when you're live. Anything can go wrong. Anything can happen. Anything can be done, said. You can, I can fall off this chair right now. Anything can happen. And there's some sort of an exhilaration and excitement to that edge that's there with things being live. I mean, we could easily pre-record this series and just put them up on YouTube and say, okay, we just, did a show. It's edited perfectly and go watch it. There's something about the live that challenges me and keeps the blood flowing and the juices that really speaks to me. And I think, and I'm sure you'll agree, that when you do things this way, where it's live and you don't even have time to necessarily think about the emotional investment, it's already there, and you just let it flow and you don't overthink it. Those are some of the most incredible times. I mean, you've done all the preparation, the formatting, the structure, all the things you have to do, but it's the letting yourself not overthink it because you don't have time to when you're live. That brings great joy to it all. That's a long-winded commentary, but I'm sure you get everything that I said, from the emotional detachment in order to appreciate it, and then the element of being live where you're walking that tightrope, and that is so exhilarating.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we in my other field, my counseling field, we call that compartmentalization.
Yes.
Where you can sort of disconnect. And it's interesting, as an actor, I do not like to watch anything that's been filmed.
Of you?
Of my role as an actor. I'm super hypercritical. I'm always looking at the things I should have done or could have done or wish I'd done. It's easier for me as a director to go back and watch, because I actually find that really, really helpful, because I'm always, I'm looking at things that, if I had done that, this scene might have been better, or if I had given this direction, that maybe that would make it a little bit stronger. but I see that as part of learning, continuing to learn the craft.
Yes.
So it's a very different eye for some reason for me to be able to do that. I can be more dispassionate as a director observing my work than I am as an actor observing my work.
I like that. I like dispassionate. Yeah. Usually I'll say emotionally connected, but same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's an investment that you're making, which is, and the expectation. What I've done in a lot of different areas of life, because, you know, sometimes you can make expectations so high that you can be met with disappointment. I've learned to adjust expectations a little lower on purpose, not because I think whatever it is going to be not quality, because I always like quality, but I want to be surprised. So if I reduce the expectation, not the investment and not the hard work and the toil and blood, sweat, and tears and all of that, but if I reduce my self expectation of the event, the situation, whatever it is, then when it's incredible, it's exceeded the expectation, which is fantastic when that happens. So I've been able to adjust that a little bit as far as lowering expectations. It's sort of like faking myself out. We're going to lower the expectations on that. We're just going to, and then when you knock it out of the park, you're loving it because the expectations exceeded because you lowered the bar. You didn't lower the bar as far as quality. You just lowered the bar as far as literally being hard on yourself, demanding, you know, the best. And there could be a little perfectionism in there. And I tell people who say that they are, and I think there's a lot of people in these industries that have perfectionistic qualities. And that's what drives people to the creation and being able to create these worlds. I say to people, a couple of my friends are real perfectionists, and I say, they'll say, well, no, they're no longer perfectionists. They're recovering perfectionists. And I'm like, you probably still are one because all of your, the labels in your cabinet have to be facing forward. You might be a little OCD and perfectionistic, that friend. But it's interesting because I tell them, well, I don't say striving for perfection. I say I'm striving for excellence. And I've told that to a few people, and they've said, "Wow, that's so liberating. That's so." It sort of lightens the load for them when I tell them, "Why don't you say strive for excellence instead of striving to be perfect? Because perfect doesn't necessarily exist. Maybe a newborn baby, or perfect isn't necessarily something that really is there or even attainable. But striving for excellence certainly is." And yes, Bernadette, that friend I have that has to have all of her labels facing forward, that is a little OCD. And
I know that one.
Exactly. Thank you, Merlin. Merlin's watching in Innerkip, Ontario, Canada. We appreciate that. And there's something, I think it's Bernadette that said something that really relates beautifully to what we're talking about here. And Jana as well. I do think that is the key for us performing artists as well. Watching back helps one refine and evolve their work. That's what I do. When I watch things back, when I listen to things I've done or watch it if it's video, I'm sort of critiquing, but for fine tuning and tweaking and improving. Right. I'm not looking to tear anything apart that I've done, but I'm looking for ways to enhance it, to say, okay, that was really good, but if I just did this other little thing, then that clicks in beautifully as well. So it's a review. It's a way to evolve, just like Bernadette perfectly said, to take the work and to sort of dissect it a little bit. But I do like to sometimes just let it roll. There was a show I did with Phil Coulter, the Irish music legend, and that was a big show. And he's a legend, multi-platinum, recording producer, and we've known a lot of the same people for years. And he came on the show Sunday, and it was a big show and live from Ireland, the whole thing. And I didn't want to watch it right after because I had so much built up in my mind to it. But then later, a few hours later, I watched it and I stayed up till like 3 a.m. and I watched it as a viewer, not as me being Jim doing it. I sort of detached myself from being that guy on the screen. I wasn't saying, oh, let's see how great I am. Oh, that's a great question. And that's a funny line. It was me. And would I be convinced by it? Would I be moved by what happened? Would that really have done? Because that also helps me appreciate even more what people are saying as they're watching it. I'm like, boy, I remember when that person said that comment. Now I see what they're talking about. That really was, a cool situation. I imagine you do that as well, huh?
Yeah, yeah. What I do, and what I'm struck by, I'm going back a little bit to what you were saying. I do like the striving for excellence idea, and for me, it's the emphasis is on the word striving, as
Yeah.
opposed to excellence being a destination.
Yes.
It's in the work. I oftentimes, with my clients and my students, in both my counseling world and in my theater world, talk about the idea that we're perfectly imperfect.
Yes.
And so, this is always about a journey, not the destination. It's about what do we learn and how do we continue to grow.
Yes. Right. Right. Perfect example is I'm known within the family. um, they'll say, oh, when you get in the car with Jim, you never know where we're going to end up. And what I love about that is, sometimes when relatives and family are visiting, your structure, okay, today on Sunday, we're going to go here, we're going to go there. And then at 5 o'clock, we're going to be there. And then we're going to, you structure everything, you structure the outing. And what I've done sometimes, and some of the most incredible things are when we get in the car and I don't have any idea where we're headed. We just drive. And everybody in the car will say, where are we going? I don't know. Let's just listen to the beautiful music wafting, the instrumental music that's wafting through the inside of the car that matches the visualizations that you're looking of the fall foliage and I'm like creating a production with family and friends that are in the car with the music and the visuals of the mountains or the ocean. It's almost as if I'm creating a movie for them and they're watching it and they don't know what's coming up next because I don't know what's coming up next. So we have driven through New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, looping around through Boston, right through the center of Boston, through Rhode Island, looping around to Connecticut, and all in the same day. Yeah. In the fall, stopping off at little places for apple cider and little lunch places we never knew existed in Vermont or New Hampshire, wherever. Took pictures and fall foliage and the time and the camaraderie and the laughter without it being structured, formatted, or planned, without time constraints. For somebody like you who works where there's a lot of structure and there, when I'm on the air live, we got to do this and top of the hour, and you got to be, everything is timed and structured. But when you get in the car and you just go and you have everybody, none of us really knowing where the adventure is going to take us, those are some of the most enjoyable times for everybody, but also for me, because we experienced this together. And there was no expectation. There was no preconceived notion of how great it was going to be, or this place was going to meet all our expectations. We just roll with it, and we're all doing it together. And so I look at the work that way too. There's sort of like, hey, when you get in the car with Jim, you never know where you're going to go, but you're going to have this wonderful experience. We went to Bermuda twice. One time we went and it was a cruise, and it was with family, loved ones and all. And it was terrific. And it was through a radio show that I hosted. And it was, we had all these listeners that came, and we've been talking about doing a cruise here on the show called a Lovely Cruise. But the only thing that we had structured was that you were going to meet, everybody was going to meet at like 7 p.m. back on the cruise ship to have the dinner at the table with everybody. And the rest of the time, everybody went on their own excursions themselves. There was nothing planned. There was nothing. So we went to Hamilton and everywhere, St. George, everywhere. And it was terrific because we were just sightseeing, and whatever we were stumbling on, We had our maps, and we were sort of looking at this, that, and the other thing. The second time we went, having gone already, we super structured it. Okay, as soon as we get off the boat, we're going to do this. Then we have to go do that. Then we got to go see that. Then we got to be over there at 4:30. Then the next day we've got to get up at 8. And then we hated it.
Talk about stress.
We hated it because it was like, wow, we're not enjoying it because we're rushing to be there at 1, there at 4, there at 7, next day. And one of the things that we did, which I do not recommend after you've come off a cruise ship and going to a beautiful place like Bermuda, which we love, is to go on a cruise ship, sail across the Atlantic to Bermuda, and then the first thing you do, as soon as you get off the ship and get settled, is to go sightseeing on a glass bottom boat. When you've been on a cruise ship on the water, we're like, wait a minute, we went from a boat to a boat. We should have planned this differently. So sometimes this whole moral to this lengthy story here, I think I'm the guest, is sometimes you just have to go with it and just do it, and not set all those expectations, because those can be some of the most joyous times, right? And I'm sure you've had that on stage where things went awry, but when they went awry, sometimes that added an element that wasn't planned before, right?
Right. No, I am a big believer in spontaneity. And I am somebody who could claim that little OCD label, although I think I'm a recovering OCDer.
So what would be the things that like you had to do that were important to you? Do things have to be in a certain place, a certain order, or?
I blame this on my mother, who was a neatnik to the T. Is that I like things to be organized. I don't deal well with chaos. Chaos in terms of my environment.
Yeah.
I'm kind of okay with chaos out in the world with people, but my environment, I like to have somewhat organized. I'm not nearly that way anymore. I mean, I'm pretty easy, but I was pretty obnoxious, I would say, when I was in my early years about that.
All the time, and order and everything neat.
Just picking things up, and like I could have a dinner party, and the person barely put their fork down. I had to take the plate away. It's like that doesn't bode well for conversation. So I've worked through most of that. See, therapy is helpful.
Some people do that out of nerves. They got to keep busy, got to keep moving, got to keep okay, we got to clear those plates, now we got to do the dishwasher, now we got to fluff the pillows, we got to keep moving. It's
a control thing.
It is. Yeah.
And I think earlier in my life when I was young, things didn't always feel very in control, so I think that was the way I adapted to that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, I've worked through that a lot, but I honor that it has served me in some ways, in some parts of my life, to keep things from not being so crazy. But spontaneity, I mean, I've been a Zen meditator for 30 years, and I really believe in the idea of spontaneity and living in the now.
A Zen meditator. Flower Power, you're listening? Jen is Zen. What is a Zen meditator?
It's just that I started I started sitting in a Zen meditation group when I was in my 20s. Part of my therapy, actually, and I have just found that practice to be pivotal in my life. I meditate every day.
You do?
I mean, I don't have to sit for a long time. And sometimes I do a walking meditation.
Did it take you a while to be able to relax enough to meditate?
Yeah,
Uh,
probably like a couple of years.
to where you don't sit there saying, I'm faking myself out. I'm actually hearing myself say that I'm meditating, as opposed to just letting yourself meditate.
Right.
Uh,
And finding the practice that works best for you. I actually find uh, moving meditations more useful for me. Like, you can make anything a meditative practice. Washing the dishes can be a meditative practice if all you focus on is that, instead of thinking about the things I'm going to do in 5 minutes. But no,
yes.
I just think being spontaneous is part of being creative.
Yeah. Do you get overwhelmed when you have a lot of things coming at you at once? The phone is ringing, people are texting, they're emailing, the inbox is full. You've had a lot of things that are all happening. You're tending to one thing, and then you have all these other things that are happening at the same time. Does that overwhelm you, or do you have you learned to create um, boundaries?
I would say if you asked me that question 15 or 20 years ago, I would say absolutely it overwhelms me. I
Yeah.
think if you're asking it now, I would say I'm pretty good at setting boundaries, and I'm pretty good. The thing that helped me most was when I read the research on multitasking
Yeah.
and found out that what the scientists are telling us is our brains really are not meant to do that.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm really good at just being able to, I can pretty much tune out what's happening around me so I can focus on what I'm doing.
Multitasking for a perfectionist isn't great because they're still trying to work on that first task to make it as best as it can be. And then you've got 19 other things that just got thrown your way. And that can overwhelm somebody
Right.
like that, because they're like, wait a minute, I still have to finish dotting the I's and crossing the T's on this other thing. And now you want by 5 o'clock all these other things. Um,
No is not a dirty word.
Right. I've had to learn boundaries too. Yeah. I learned that we'll talk about it another time, but when I drove alone through Death Valley after a TV shoot, came in touch with self, and I've learned to create boundaries. You really, really have to, because if you don't, if you're putting out everybody else's fires and rescuing the world all the time, there's no time for you and the things that you need to get done, right? And your
Absolutely.
passions and desires. Yeah. Merlin's been trying to get a question in here for a while, and I was waiting for her to ask it. And it's always involving music and singing. And I was waiting for you, Merlin, and you did it. You didn't
Uh-oh.
disappoint. To change the subject, what kind of music do you sing or listen to?
Okay, that's a pretty safe question.
Next, she's going to ask you to sing.
Yeah, we might have to think about that.
Yeah, you'll have to come back, and we'll do Jingle Bells together.
I'll point you to my YouTube channel.
Yes, you do have. Yeah. Yeah. And we would have added some of those, but like you say, copyright and everything, because they're
Yeah,
covers, and
yeah,
YouTube and copyright don't mix.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, musical theater has been sort of my go-to most of my life, but I have been really branching out into doing more contemporary, classic rock and some ballady kinds of things. So I'm pretty broad in my tastes, but musical theater would be something that is easy for me to default to most of the time. So I guess that's my answer to that question.
What about songwriting? Have you ever thought of penning a tune or two?
I did when I was younger because I played guitar for years. I haven't been playing actually for quite a while since I busted my guitar. Um,
You got
or
mad?
actually, another actor busted my guitar on stage by
Really?
mistake. By mistake,
Okay.
purely by
Didn't take
mistake.
it and throw
No,
it.
but it was a treasure that I had, a good Gibson that I've had for years.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I used to write music when I was younger, but and not related to musical theater at all, just ballads and things like that. But I really haven't returned to that. I tip my hat to folks who are really, really good at it, and I appreciate what they do so that I can just enjoy it and then sing it on occasion. So no writing.
No, right.
I do. One of my goals is to try my hand at doing some playwriting, some script writing. I
Mm.
mean, I've written and published a lot of nonfiction, academically related material.
Mm.
I like to write, but I would really like to write something more fiction.
Um, what about a psychological thriller? Then you can blend both worlds.
I think about things like that every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so right now those are sort of on the back burner,
Yeah.
with a target on them to sometime after June 30th of
Yeah.
2021 to be able to create space for myself to do something like that.
I love material that makes you think, whether it's television or it's music, film, where it makes you think. Like, for example, I was mentioning, I think, to Bill Russell last night when he was on, lyricist. One of the, believe it or not, about a week ago, we watched, which we've seen before multiple times, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Katharine
Mm-hmm.
Hepburn and Spencer Tracy, Sidney Poitier. That not only draws you in, but it makes you think. And
Mm-hmm.
and there's so much depth to it. I love things that make you think and things you can connect with and things you can relate to. And because I'm also very communal, so I love being in a theater. We watched it here at home, but where we're all watching the same thing and we feel the same emotion at the
Right.
same time. So if you're watching the Titanic and it's sinking, you know that everybody in that room generally is feeling that. And there's something very connecting and real and authentic when everybody's feeling those same emotions. That's why, for me, one of my favorite days of the year isn't my birthday. It's because my birthday is about me. That's really singular. People will say, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I bet you must love it when it's your birthday." And I'm like, not really. It's a beautiful day, and I'm glad I was born, and I love all the attention that comes. Thank you, I appreciate it. My favorite day is I love Thanksgiving, but I really love Christmas because when we grew up, and the family still does it, it is like a production. I mean, from the food and the cookies and the decorations and the music and the lights and the all and handmade items, and then all the relatives and the love and all the different sensations that you hit upon. You have the music, you have all these TV specials and Christmas movies. You've got the build up from Thanksgiving and then Hanukkah and all, and it's building up to this big, day. And as a kid, I was always in tune with that and the sort of like the production value of it with, again, everything on TV was reflecting it, the music on the radio stations, the Christmas villages and the light displays and people being maybe friendlier and happier and excited and the holiday parties and the office gatherings. And then you lead up to that day and then you've got music, food, family, gifts, love, cards, God. I mean, every sense is like heightened and touched upon. So for me, Christmas Day and the love of family and everybody's happy and you've got the music wafting through the house and the Christmas cookies and we've got all the different generations together if you're, God willing, able to have that. So for me, the buildup of Christmas Day and the whole event of Christmas Day and the love of Christmas Day still is a huge, huge thing. This year is going to be very different because everything we're going through. But that's why for me, the day after Christmas was always my least favorite day of the year. Because everything's like, boom, show over.
Yep.
Everybody has road rage and everybody's sort of like pushing and shoving with all their returns in the department stores. I'm like, what just happened to you? Where's yesterday?
Right.
So it's the communal aspect of what it all is. I know on that day, a lot of people around the world are doing the same thing and feeling the same emotion. And I like that feeling of camaraderie.
Yeah. No, the holidays can, if you can get past the stress that sometimes comes with them,
More than ever.
they can be really. And you're right. This year is going to be very difficult for a lot of people, I think, because you can't really have those big events
And we're not sure either. We know Thanksgiving, everybody's staying home. All the
Yeah.
relatives, we've all decided we're staying home, and they're telling us, they're saying,
Yeah.
Especially here, they're saying they don't recommend anybody get together. Just stay in your own household.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. But for Christmas, we usually all the relatives, the family, we all pack up and we go to see the folks and family in Florida. That's more recent since they moved to Florida, and we used to do a lot up here in the Northeast. So and we're not sure yet. We can't say yes yet. Flying, driving. So usually we drive because we have all the Christmas packages. So we'll do the long drive. We'll stop off. But something I didn't even think about that a friend was even saying the other day, you have to, when you're driving from, up here in the Northeast, 22, 23 hours to Florida, long drive. And I'm usually the driver. I control thing. I don't give up the wheel, and it's a challenge. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. You guys sleep. No, we'll take the wheel. We'll take the wheel. No, you guys sleep. We're going to get there. It's like a challenge. Who's going to want to stop off at the rest stops and go into the bathrooms and go into the restaurant, and it's probably not even going to be open. And so if you drive, it's going to be a whole other thing. And then the flying, people aren't sure about. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to be in this for a while.
For a little bit more than even when the vaccine comes out, it's still going to be.
It's going to take time to get everybody. Yeah, and hopefully everybody will do it. We know that's not the case.
They said yesterday that New York City, as far as tourism, they don't think will fully recover until at least 2025.
Wow.
In terms of reaching the levels that it was at 2019 and early 2020, which were very high levels, when all that stopped, it would take at least till 2025 to reach the actual levels. How are things there in Washington? Are people following protocol? Are they helping one another? Or how are things where you are?
I would say we have a governor who's been very good at stepping in front of it. Part of it is we had the first case, supposedly, the first case here.
Right.
And so,
too,
yeah. So he got on board pretty quickly at putting in measures in place. We just went into going backwards last night at midnight. So back down to no indoor dining, movie theaters, gyms, all that's shut down. You can do takeout and outdoor, but you're limited to like 5. And again, everything should, the holidays for both Thanksgiving and Christmas are encouraging, keep it just to your household. So, and that's because we've had a spike just in the past couple of weeks.
We were very, very good here in the Northeast because, they took all the precautions. They were very tough with it, and more people tended to follow the protocols. But now, and there's a 14-day quarantine. If you come here, you have to quarantine for 14 days. And it started with like 5 states, 10, now it's the entire country. If anybody from any other state comes here, you have to quarantine for 14 days because they don't want it to, even though we're going up in numbers, they don't want it to get worse. So we've all got to be, speaking of communal, we've all got to be working together. Like Merlin said, if only everyone would be careful. Macy's parade, June. Yeah.
You should know that.
Yeah, if it's totally canceled, I think it is. Karen in Nova Scotia says my 6 children all live close by, so we'll be all together for Christmas with the 95-year-old grandfather. And that's the thing, watching out for the 95-year-old grandfather at this point is really important as well. Ned, that's what I love about this show. We get to have all this time to have all these great meandering in and out of life conversations and connect with our audience and with each other in such a deep way. What are some of the things that bring you the greatest joy in the work that you do, the work that you've done in the field, in clinical education and the psychological world, as much as in the world of performance and entertainment and the arts and theater?
I think crossing both of those arenas, it's really the opportunity to give something to others, with whether it's helping clients on a one-to-one basis and helping them live their authentic life, which is always, by the way, a reminder for myself to live my authentic life. I can't tell you how many times I'm sitting with somebody and I say something that I don't even know I'm going to say, and then my inside voice says, "Yeah, you should pay attention to that."
What you're saying to them, you should follow.
Yeah. And but in terms of like teaching my students how to do this work, I get great joy when I see what's reflected back to me, that it's been meaningful for them. That I hear from some of them, a year, 2, 5 years later, that say they still remember when I said this, whatever this is, and how important that was in their own career development. And for me, the theater piece is just that I feel like it's such a gift just to be able to give. Whatever capacity I'm working in the theater, it's an opportunity to give something to the community that makes us think, makes us smile, makes us laugh. Just it's entertainment, and it's ideally I love the thoughtful entertainment, but nonetheless, it's an opportunity to take some time away from your normal day and sort of let go and enter into a different world and just be entertained and to feel connected to those who are around you. So I would say that's probably it.
What would you say to somebody, and I've asked this question of some of our guests, who is watching this now live, Ned, or will watch this on our YouTube channel in the archives, who is considering entering the fields, of theater, of musical theater, of entertainment, of music, or any of this, the arts? What would you say? I know a running theme from some of the people that have commented is don't go in it if you're just strictly looking to be famous, because that's not the reason to. There's so much blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of work, a lot of investment, mind, body, and spirit into all of this, sometimes even financial sacrifice. Do not, because we're living in a very celebrity-driven culture, don't make fame the reason to do any of this, right?
Yep, absolutely. This actually kind of fits for both of my careers, not so much as a professor, but certainly as a clinician. You don't go into becoming a counselor, just like you don't go into the theater for the money, because neither of them are known for paying a living wage without a lot of work. I think you can be more successful as a clinician over time, but it takes time and it takes effort, particularly to build a practice. From theater, we know, what is it, 97% of people in the theater arts have to have a second job, at least, not more than that.
Yeah.
So again, not just don't do it for the fame, because that's not a good reason. It has to be a passion. It has to be a soul passion, and that you have to be willing to deal with all the bumps and to recognize that you're going to have to do many things to support yourself in the process, because the chances are pretty slim that you're going to be famous or that you're going to be successful enough to make a living from it completely and exclusively. So I would say fame is one, but also, the reality is financially you have to be prepared for that reality. But if it's a passion and you live and breathe it, then don't hold yourself back and don't listen to people who try to tell you shouldn't try.
Absolutely.
Because more times than not, there's going to be people who tell you, "Oh, don't do that. That's not a real career."
Mm-hmm. Right.
My parents' voices are in my head as we speak.
Are they talking to? Right. That's it. You should have been an accountant, right? But you did do the whole other route. You've been able to balance both, which is wonderful. And I've always had that opportunity as well.
But I had to come to that on my own. I had to not do it because somebody else told me to.
Exactly. Right. That takes time and wisdom and life experience, life being lived, life well lived. Mona, hi, Jim and Ned and everyone from Louisiana. Good to have you with us, Mona. And Bernadette says, I'm multitasking. See what happens. That's funny. Merlin asks, what are those figures above your right shoulder? We always like to ask the
Over there.
guests, what room are you in and what do you have around us? So maybe you want to show us around a little bit.
Well, I'm sitting in my dining room, actually, at the end of my dining room table, because my office space is actually in the behind me here, where you see the double doors, is my den, and then my office. But that's where my dogs are, so I can have some quiet. And because I'm having to spend so much time on Zoom, particularly teaching now, because everything is remote, or doing telehealth, or having meetings, or doing something like this, it's a quieter space, and I get good light in here because I got lots of light coming in. But what my house is full of art, predominantly, but not completely, from island artists, and those figures behind you are actually glass, blown glass, sand cast glass. Uh, they're basically crows, but I happen to choose the colors of the Mexican flag because I have spent a lot of time in Mexico, both for work and for pleasure. So those are the Mexican flag colors of orange, white, and green. And it is an artist here on the island, one of the glass artists here on the island. So that's where I'm sitting right now, and it really is because it's become my office away from home, or my office in my home.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Office in the home. Very beautifully done. And to surround yourself with things familiar is always important too, right, Ned?
absolutely. Makes it comfortable.
Well, this has been extraordinary. And we have been chatting leisurely here with our cups of coffee. Do you still have coffee or is yours now iced coffee?
I have really iced coffee.
Iced coffee.
Yes. In
Well,
fact, the cup is really cold because I have
isn't
my
it?
temperature turned down. So here you go.
So we toast you.
Thank you.
Go. Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness I like iced coffee.
I was going to say, it just needs an ice cube, and it's we're back to summertime. Soraya watching says, I am recording all the specials and Christmas movies on my DVR. I love specials, events, movies on TV. I have seen people putting Christmas decorations out already. I've heard people listening to Christmas music. We actually threw a little bit on our neighbors. I heard Christmas music playing. A lot of people saying they want to hear that because it makes them feel good. It makes them feel, especially now, they're looking for things to, surround yourself with some of the constants, right?
Right, right.
And
Yeah, I'm one of those that I have to wait till Thanksgiving before I can start the Christmas. But then I'll be watching all of the Christmas movies.
And you'll be all in. You'll be all in.
You betcha.
Willie wants to know, what do you eat? She's in Holland. Have a nice meal. What will you be having for your dinner? Inquiring minds.
Today, I suspect today I'm going to be having some leftovers.
You'll
I
probably
made a killer meatloaf a couple of days ago, and so and I'm not a huge red meat eater, but every once in a while it's a craving. So
that's one of my claims to fame too, is the meatloaf. Yeah, and one of our viewers, Kathleen in New York's doing that. That's cool. Flower Power, Jenna Zen says, Ned, thank you for spending your time with us. Fun night, Slancha. And Merlin, all of her cards are done and sent.
wow.
Christmas cards are done and sent already. Wow. That's very cool. She's ahead of the game. My friend, this was terrific. Again, our audience got a chance to learn a little bit more about you and your passions and your experience, and not just the periphery, but what drives you and your background and your early beginnings and your accomplishments and accolades. I did as well, and this was a great conversation, and I really enjoyed the time with you, and I hope you'll come back. The door's open anytime you like, my friend, and hopefully if you're out here on the East Coast, let me know, and if I'm on the West Coast, specifically up in the Pacific Northwest area, I'll let you know. We'll come visit. And speaking of expectations, I hope this met whatever expectations you had, and you enjoyed your time with me, as I certainly have with you, Ned Farley.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really been a pleasure and a privilege, and getting somebody little out here in the big Pacific Northwest to be on your show is a great privilege. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you very much. And you'll see me popping up on the comments on some of your other shows.
Oh, good.
I would have watched the Bill Russell one yesterday, but I was teaching, so I went and listened to it. I listened to it this morning. So
did you enjoy it?
I did. Yeah, I have a CD he sent me about a year and a half ago because of June again, of one of his shows that he's offering for me to do at the theater. It's one of his newer, younger shows. So
very nice.
I hope at some point to talk to him again.
Well, the key.
So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. I like to create a warm environment where, a guest can emote. And I had Sarah Brightman, who I interviewed once on public television, tell me that it was a live television interview in crazy studio. And she pulled me aside and she said something similar like what you're talking about. She felt comfortable and warm, and she didn't feel like there was any judgment or bias. Just we were there to celebrate her craft. And she ended up sharing things during that live national public television special that I co-hosted, and during our interview that she wasn't expecting to share, and she really enjoyed it. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Mona says, I'm going to have to watch the replay. Thank you for being here, Ned. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Sherry says, thank you so much for coming to Loverty Hall today, Ned, and for sharing your story and life with us. Please come back again soon, since you're a Loverty now. And if you notice, our viewers, our Loverties, stay with the show. They stay with us. Every second of the show. We've created a wonderful community here. Great show from Juanita in South Africa. Thanks, Ned, for sharing, and stay safe. Mary Bishop, thanks for spending time with us, Ned. Great conversation. June says, yeah, meaning we'll all get together at some point, which I look forward to, and break bread. Soraya says, this is such a treat. Nice seeing you, Ned, on here. Bernadette, Ned, thank you for sharing your stories with us. Stay safe, stay well. Willie, who's still with us in Holland, where it's approaching almost 1 a.m. for her. We usually start in about 20 minutes is when we normally start the show at 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye, Ned. Thank you for the stories from Willie in Europe and the Netherlands. And June, can't wait to work with you again. Merlin in Canada says, now you are a Loverty. Thank you. Kathy Sharp Stanley, thanks for joining us, Kathy. Ned, looking forward to doing some form of theater soon, which is beautifully said as well. And all this love, and we love this. And yeah, Karen says, don't forget to check out Highland Arts Theater. Thanks for a great show. Jonathan, thank you very much. I hope you'll come back. This is Willie's 158th episode of the Jim Master Show Live.
Wow.
And we welcome everybody who's joined us for the very first time as well. And cool stuff. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, my friend. And we're going to have dinner now, and you probably are getting ready for late lunch or dinner. Thank those dogs. Wow. I mean, they must be.
They're going to get a walk now.
I was going to say the walk time is either that or a feed is probably a little overdue. So,
well, thanks. You really made this easy. So I appreciate that.
My pleasure, my friend. And thanks for joining us here on the show. It was really an honor and a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. And we will stay in touch. Best of the holidays. And thanks for joining us today. It was terrific. It was extraordinary.
You too.
We covered a lot of ground we didn't expect to touch.
Really?
We sure did. It's called life. Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. Ned Farley there in Langley, Washington, on Whidbey Island there. Beautiful spot in the northwestern part of the United States in the Pacific Northwest. Not too far from Seattle. And June saying XOXO, big hugs. Absolutely. And we enjoyed having him with us, and we enjoy having you with us as well. And if you joined us for the very first time, I'm your host, Jim Masters. This is an entertainment lifestyle talk show series we started 29 weeks ago. We just let it roll, and we put a lot of time into it, and we have a lot of fun with it as well. And these shows, believe it or not, were initially only going to be an hour, and we just did almost 3. Big hugs to you as well, June. I love you as well. And Willie and Holland, thank you very much. All of our friends are here. For those of you who are just joining, or yes, George Burns is with us, and he says thanks for joining us as well. These are some of our cast of characters. Still hanging with us from the nostalgic night we did. Jeannie is here in her bottle, and she says thanks for joining us as well. Don't you see her in there? And let's see. We also have Gilligan, Dream of Denver. Bob Denver's wife sent us Gilligan. Aloha, Dream of Denver. She was a guest on our show. You can see that episode on our YouTube channel at Jim Masters TV. So Gilligan says good night and thank you for joining us. And a reminder, Keith Harkin will be on December 12th. Coming up this Saturday, we have an extraordinary Tony-winning actor and singer, John Lloyd Young. I know a lot of you are excited. He's here this Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's going to be on our YouTube channel exclusively, YouTube at Jim Masters TV. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Yes, he's the Tony-winning actor and singer. John Lloyd Young is going to be here this Saturday. Really, really cool stuff. Those of you asking about Keith Harkin, singer-songwriter, formerly of Celtic Thunder, December 12th, he's going to be here. And guests galore between now and then. We've got Christmas shows we're doing and a lot of cool things. Jimmy is here, and Jimmy says thanks for joining us and good night as well. And let's see, Silver is here. I know you guys, if I don't show the characters, you guys ask. Silver, who we got on a TV shoot while in Switzerland. Silver, did you have a good time? Silver had a good time. Sees all of you as well. You got to put smiles on people's faces. Willie's still sticking with us. So, Willie, there are your tulips for you in the Netherlands. We thank you as well. And look who else we have here. You know who's coming, right? Oh, my God, this thing. I tell you, look who's with us. Lin. What can you say? Look at those ears. We still have the tag on. Lin. See, it says Lin. It's got the certification. It's got the whole thing, eco-friendly, the whole bit. This was a gift from a great friend, birthday time. I mean, it's a cool gift because I was talking about a story where my sister and I had these, when we were small children, we had these panda stuffed animals and mine started falling apart and we had to get rid of it. And we've been watching these cool nature videos on YouTube and these panda videos, and they do some crazy, funny things. So a friend sent this, a huge panda who's now part of our show. And it was cool. You can actually do this. Seems real, doesn't it? So that's Lin. I know you guys love Lin. So Lin says good night and thanks for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show. Let me show you how big Lin is. I mean, let me see if I can move out of the way here. There you go, Lin. Lin is looking at you right now and saying thank you for joining us. And a little itchy under the neck there. Give it a little scratch. Got a little tail in the back there. This thing is cool. It's funny. Got to have fun, right? You got to smile. Makes you feel like a kid again. All right, Lin. So Lin says hi. You guys have been asking for Lin, which is, Lin is huge. Lin's going to go right over here as we get ready to wrap up the show. Right, Lin? You stay there and hang out with Silver and the rest of the gang over there. So Lin is right here. I know you've been asking for Lin. Flower Power says, Jim, I had a great time tonight. Thank you very much, Jen. I know that you're Zen, and we love having you with us as well. And Bernadette says, Dr. Fauci and my husband's boss, Dr. Collins, say, please just wear the mask, stay socially distanced from those you don't live with, stay safe, stay well. Absolutely, Bernadette. Willie loves the tulips, and she sends some back. Me too. We're starving. Dinner bell just rang. Ding, ding, ding. Got to join the guys' night, the sons. Say hello to Jonathan and Jacob for me and to Jerry. Hopefully we'll be dining again soon. June, great show. Have a good night all. You too. was fun doing an afternoon show during the week. Sometimes we've done that on the weekends, but it was cool doing it today. Have a great night, Jim. Good night, all. How'd that meatloaf turn out, Kathleen? You said you were cooking meatloaf for tonight's dinner. Did you eat it already? Were you eating your meatloaf while you were watching us? And Renee, again, blessings and love to you and your family at the loss of your uncle. Sincerely from me, my family, and all of us, all your friends here at the Jim Masters Show Live, we send you levity. And, and like you can see here, from Bernadette and from everybody. So you take care, Renee. Karen Campbell Green, yay. Keith Harkin, December 12th, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And who is on your birthday, December 7th? Ooh, we'll have to find out. Stay tuned. We'll have to sing happy birthday too. Good night, Jim and all. Really enjoyed. You too as well. Willie loves Lin the panda, and I'm glad you guys got a chance to see that. And how about trying to get Jonathan Groff sometime? Such a great performer. Ooh, if anybody has contact, we've got a lot of people that are coming on, and a lot of you have been suggesting people as well. So we'll try that. Just here to wish you, Jim and gang, a good night, and I'm going to watch it on YouTube later because I couldn't make it earlier because of the different schedule of the show. That's why I love that we archive everything on YouTube. And if you ever miss, it's nice to see you, Carla. We send you love from the United States and around the world to you there, one of our lovely regular viewers in beautiful Brazil. If anybody has missed any of this episode or any of the 29 weeks of the Jim Masters Show Live, everything is archived there for you on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We would love that. We are building that channel that helps the show. So we would love that. And this whole show is there. This whole episode is there. And you got to see Lin. And I will bring out me Panda Pillow. Ken's mom gave me. Love it. That's great. It was awesome. Mom's recipe. We'll have to make it for you someday. Yes. Yes. A lot of myths have gone by the wayside lately, but I am here to tell you that a way to a man's heart still is through his stomach. One of the ways, but it's so true. Sending you love and healing to Renee. That's beautiful. And nice to have you with us, Jill, as well. And yes, we've been working on that for weeks behind the scenes. He's traveling through Europe. He's in Portugal right now with his wife and child. So we had to coordinate everything behind the scenes with us and with his team. And it all came to fruition today, which is really exciting. Don't forget, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. Feel free to subscribe, like, follow. I do that back as well. I like to follow everybody else back. And, we're all in this together. And don't forget, as well, as we always say here on the show, don't forget to relax, breathe, love one another, take care of one another, be good to yourself, be good to one another. Not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day is going to be spectacular. But when you relax, you breathe from the diaphragm and you look for the constants in life, we will get through a lot of things together. So don't forget to relax. We thank all of you with our ice cold coffee now. There's only a little bit left. We toast all of you and you and you and you and you. Thank you for joining us. I know in about 8 minutes, people are going to be looking for our show at 7 o'clock who didn't see that we were on earlier today. So hopefully they'll see this. If you know somebody that watches us normally at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, let them know we did the show earlier to accommodate schedules. We started at 4. Good night, everyone. Mary Bishop, you as well. Now, we are not here tomorrow. I heard everybody. I heard a collective sigh. We're actually off tomorrow. I have a multitude of radio shows and some production and television work tomorrow. So there's no show tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So class is dismissed. Well, we've got an amazing guest coming up on Thursday. Allison Frazier is here with us on Thursday. We'll post all the information on YouTube at Jim Masters TV and Facebook, Jim Masters TV. But so there's no show tomorrow, Wednesday. The 18th, we are off because we have some other commitments all day tomorrow. So I hope you have a good day tomorrow. We will miss you, but we'll see you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all the usual places. And we will be back on Thursday, okay? So we're not here tomorrow, but we will be here. That's why we went a little longer today, and we're doing this host chat with you now because we're not here on Wednesday, but we will be back on Thursday with all of you with another brilliant guest, Allison Frazier. And, you know, a lot of people ask, how can we help the show? How can we help? You can spread the word. You can tell more people about the show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the links, tag everybody. And that helps the show. And continue watching. And we love it. God bless you, Jim. Thank you for another excellent show. XX. Good night, everyone. Thank you, Bernadette. Love it when you're here as well. You guys really are lovities. You are the definition of lovities. So on Facebook, you for the last 15 minutes, your comments to write were unavailable to post, but you are available to post now. Interesting. Social media, internet, it's all crazy stuff. Who knows what happens, right? Who knows? But you're there. You had tea. Willie says, ah. So Willie, you can sleep tomorrow. We're no show tomorrow. And I think the is for the panda, right? Night to Lin Lin. So we're not here tomorrow because I have a really busy day with radio shows, and then I've got some television work. And so we'll be away all day with that. However, we will be here on Thursday with Allison Frazier. Check out our Facebook page at Jim Masters TV. You'll be able to see everything as far as guests that are coming up, and also on YouTube as well. A lot of people joined our YouTube channel today. They subscribed. I noticed a big jump, and that's wonderful. Kisses to you as well, to all of you. Some more comments. Doing a little host chat here before we wrap up. Good night, Jim. Good night, Lin Lin. I know you guys have been asking to see Lin Lin for a long time, so I made sure Lin Lin was on set here. And all the other characters, George and Jeannie and Gilligan and Silver and Jimmy, they're all here. It adds a little spice to the show to have our own cast of characters. They're like our studio audience. Good night, Jim, and good luck tomorrow. Thank you. I appreciate that. Super busy day tomorrow, so we will be here Thursday. Mona, nice to see you in Louisiana. My cousin's husband's family come from New Orleans. Boy, does he make good barbecue and great gumbo. They live up in Massachusetts. They have a beautiful lake house up in northern Massachusetts on the New Hampshire border. Oh, the family, we all gather up there, and in Connecticut in the summers. But the family his family hails from New Orleans. Juanita says, have a good day tomorrow, Jim. We'll probably not get more sleep. Have a Stephen King book waiting. Uh-oh. Lock the doors. The is for you. It's like, the collective sigh that we're not going to be here tomorrow. Well, we will be thinking of you guys. We'll see you on the social media platforms. You take care, Renee. We'll see you on Thursday. And again, Godspeed to you and your family. Kathleen, you as well. Have a good day tomorrow. Stay safe. And Bernadette says, if it's okay, I have something nice to send you via email, Jim. Absolutely. Thank you very much. We showed last night at the end of the episode, Tess LaBella's fabulous cookies. If you didn't see them, it's on the episode last night on YouTube. And I was chatting with Tess today and told her we did a live shout out. She was a guest on our show, and she's a wonderful, lovely viewer. All those cookies, remember the cookies I showed last night on that Christmas plate? They're gone. They didn't last the night. Those cookies that I sort of teased you guys with last night, whoosh, gone. I was up till like 3 a.m. last night working on some things. It's going to be an early night to bed tonight. And those cookies are gone. And knowing Tess, there's probably more being baked as we speak. Which is a beautiful thing. Yes, Bernard, I absolutely. And I should show this before we go, because we're getting ready to wrap here. Starving. If any of you have suggestions for guests, there's the email address for the show, jimmasterstv@gmail.com, jimmasterstv@gmail.com. Any suggestions for guests? A lot of you have been suggesting guests. I find a lot of guests, people I know in television, film, music, Broadway, Hollywood, other areas of expertise. Some of my friends are finding guests, which I love. You guys have been suggesting people, guests and others. We booked 5 guests today alone from people who have been watching our series on YouTube and loving it and saying, I want to be a part of that. I want to come on that show. And I think it's because we give people an opportunity to actually express themselves. It's not just answer question or, we just do a quick, number and then we're in and out. We spend some time. So there you go. If you want to reach out to the show, there is the direct email address to the show. And there is our YouTube channel to find all of the entertainment as well, all archived there for you. Good night, Christine Clifton. Good to see you as well. Thanks for being with us. And Karen's in Nova Scotia. We have family in New Brunswick and Kierstead Falls and Kierstead Mountain. If you Google that, Kierstead Falls, Kierstead Mountain, relatives on my mother's side of the family actually founded that town and settled that mountain several moons ago in Canada, in New Brunswick. So we have a Canadian connection there. Lin is adorbs. Good night, Jim and all the lovelies. See you on Thursday. Good night to you there in Canada, Karen Campbell Green. And fantastic. You see all the messages. Those cookies were irresistible. They were. They were. Another great show tonight. Jim, you never disappoint. Enjoy your evening. Thank you, Kathy Short. You have a wonderful evening as well. Juanita, we live in South Africa. Always lock our doors. Good night, all. You've got a very witty sense of humor. I noticed that, Juanita. Some of your comments, you're very witty. You have any Irish in you? You're very funny. I love it. Keep going. I love quick-witted humor. I'll be watching online concerts. So be busy doing stuff with your mom. Fantastic. Cool backstory. Thank you very much. And somebody said, one of the folks that was watching said she liked our set and she likes some of our graphics. I appreciate that. We work hard on that as well. Willie says, good night, lovedies. Soraya says, see you hopefully on Thursday. Thursday will be on YouTube and Facebook at Jim Masters TV. Jim, I would love to hand draw you a nice holiday present if you could send me a private message address. Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that. It's a very beautiful thing, Flower Power. You're very talented as well. Everybody, Juanita and I crack each other up. I know you guys are funny. I love it. I love humor, as you can tell. Going to send you some New Orleans spices and coffee. Mona, thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's a beautiful thing. We got a cookbook coming in from Christine Clifton, her father's cookbook. Phil Coulter sent his autograph book and music and lyric book, and Wozniak sent a gorgeous cookbook. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Lovely people, real lovedies here. And I'm glad that you enjoy my gift to you of these shows all the time. One more time, we thank our very special guest, Ned Farley, for joining us here on the show. He was a blast. Again, John Lloyd Young, the Tony-winning actor and singer, is with us on Saturday. Keith Harkin, we just announced it today. Keith Harkin is going to be with us on December 12th. December 12th, during the holiday time. It's going to be great. 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is Ireland and England, Scotland. Keith Harkin, who used to be with Celtic Thunder, has his own brilliant career. He is officially coming on the show. Also, Darren Holden is going to be with us in December. He was with Riverdance. He's with the High Kings. He'll be live from Ireland as well. Great singer, songwriter. All right, gang. A couple more things we do before we exit. Don't forget to smile. That's right. We can use more of that these days, huh? And pass a smile on to others. Don't forget to share the lovity. Yes, my hair was a lot shorter there, wasn't it? Don't forget to pass the lovity along. and find your Zen place. Mine is with loving family and friends, the work I do in my career, and also writing and music and cycling and tennis. And of course, getting out in nature and the ocean. The ocean, growing up here along the coast, the ocean speaks to me as well. So I love the ocean. And of course, I love the work I do in my varied career, wearing literally a lot of different hats, television and radio, as you can see, over the years. So fun stuff. All right, gang, officially wrapping up. We have the longest goodbyes in the business, but we love it. We love it. We love it. We love it. And you must stay with us and share the humor with all of us, Juanita. Thank you, Willie and Willie. And yes, we're going to work on that Levity Cruise, okay? We are working on that. We're working on T-shirts, mugs, and a few other surprises. We have a logo being designed. So stay tuned. I know a lot of you are asking for all of that. See you all in 48 hours. So we're working on all of that. Oh, love the High Kings. Yes, Darren's going to be here. He's a great friend. We've known each other for years. I interviewed him on public television, and we've stayed in touch a long time. Good stuff. Love Riverdance and High Kings. Long, long goodbyes. I know they are. We're not good goodbye people, are we? So let's just say see you later. Yes, the Levity Cruise. We're working on that too. Stay tuned. Got a lot of cool things coming up for the remainder of this year and for next year as well. So thank you very much for joining us. Auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, cheers, ciao, goodbye, take care, see you later. Auf Wiedersehen. I know, very, very true. But we're very good at toasting. Love it, Juanita. All right, gang. Love you all. You guys take care. Thanks for being with us. 3 hours and 1 minute. Whew. Could you imagine that? 3 hours and 1 minute. I can't believe it. You guys are the best. You guys talk a lot too. All right, gang. Cruise, woohoo, yes. I love it. You guys are real troopers. Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time till next time. Not here tomorrow. We are here. It's funny, anybody that's joining us now, it's 7:05. They think we just started the show. We're actually ending the show from 4 Eastern. It's funny. We'll see you Thursday, okay, gang? One more comment we'll take, and then you'll love it. See you later, alligator. Haven't heard that in a long time. I like that phrase. You too, gang. You take care. Another great show together. Always have a lot of fun. See you Thursday. Happy Tuesday. Just got done teaching 3 piano lessons online. Fantastic, Tiffany. Love to you in Chicago. If you want to see this episode, it's on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. All right, so we're off. Lots of radio shows to host tomorrow and television work. Got a busy day tomorrow in my professional life, but we will be here Thursday for you. Dinner time. Yes, thanks for the reminder. My stomach is grumbling. The coffee is not holding too well. Good night, gang. We will see you Thursday, okay? It's a blessing. Spread the word. Share the levity. Join us as often as you can. If not, you can see it all on YouTube at Jim Masters TV. Tell everybody, tag, share, like all the pages and the YouTube channel. And we shall see you on Thursday. We Irish keep waving goodbye until we can't see each other. I know. Bye. Take care, gang. We are officially saying see you later. All right. You got an early night tonight. What are you going to do with the rest of your night? We're going to eat and relax. All right. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. I always say that. We're going to see you Thursday. Thursday. Not tomorrow. Thursday. You get to go to bed early tomorrow. Thanks, gang. Love you all. Take care. We'll see you Thursday. Thanks for being with us. You guys truly are the best. This is a blessing doing this show all the time for you guys. Loving, loving, loving it. Go eat. Thanks, Bernadette. That's it. You got it. Ciao. Sleep. All of the above. Effective pronto. And with that, we say good night. See you Thursday, gang. Bye-bye.